Oh yeah, we are properly live here. So yeah, it's nice to be on with you guys. This is our end of campaign countdown, I guess. And what a campaign it's been. My God.
Wow. Yeah. I would say that really went over the what requested. Everybody loves it.
hmm It's been yeah, I mean, from my perspective, obviously. And we should introduce, yeah, would you like to introduce yourself, Josh, for anyone who might not be familiar with you?
Oh yeah. Joshua, Adventure Game Hotspot, co-founder of Adventure Game Hotspot, and just had a wonderful convention, the Adventure Game Fanfare. It was fantastic.
Yes, we
Um,
did. It was amazing. I got to go and I'm so glad I did. It was everything I hoped for and then some. So good job on it. I honestly was just so, it's definitely something I will never forget.
yeah, lots of the legends that we'll be talking about are there.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I missed that.
I think I'm getting a little bit of a delay. So if you're talking to me, I apologize. So I'm going to try to legends that will be in the documentary there. It was fantastic. There was deals being made at the fanfare. It was super cool. And boy, can't wait to see what you guys have going on with the documentary.
Well, I think
I
like
heard
any
that too.
live event, I think like live any event, just to throw in there as like a person that got to see behind the scenes, but also got to see it as a like a regular goer. Um, I think for the average, for the person that just the perspective of those who went, it went actually really smoothly. I don't remember any major. I don't remember any hiccups at all. Like I knew about some like hiccups here and there behind the scenes, but I think for the person that just was a person to go,
Yeah.
kind of a
I mean,
flawless.
I heard that it was that everybody loves it, or loved it. I didn't get a chance myself to see much of it. Had a
Yeah, you were busy.
the hiccup, yeah, last second our floor manager couldn't make it, and so my wife and I had to change a lot of the things that we were doing real quick, and we didn't get to see much of the panels or anything. Had to take myself off a few of the panels, but we did get to talk with so many people who came up to the desk, and gosh, it was just so exciting. I'm still on a high, still on a high.
Yeah, I came back speaking just like I wouldn't shut up about it. It's still coming down from my little high as well.
Well,
I'm
thanks
having a hard
for
hard time hearing you a little bit, Kate. I'm gonna turn you up on my end here.
The chat says they can't hear someone that spoke before me. I'm not sure. Luke,
Testing. So I can hear Will. Dave, let's hear you.
testing. Can you guys hear me?
Can hear you loud. Let's hear you, Cade.
hello. Testing one, two, three.
So I think Cade is about 25% low compared to the rest.
Will, the chat says that they can't hear you. Yeah.
Oh, the love of live. Gotta love the live aspects of all of this.
For sure. Well, thanks, Joshua, for being such good hosts to us at the convention. Because I think the thing we haven't mentioned is that, yeah, we actually had a film crew there documenting some of the goings on and making sure that's a piece of the story. Because, in our doc, the goal is kind of to make it the entire adventure game story from, its origins through to the kind of renaissance that we're seeing now. So I don't know, has that kind of been your experience that, are we seeing that upswell and kind of like there's the rise and then there's the fall and then the rise again? As someone who's kind of been observing it all these years.
Yeah, no, definitely. We're definitely on an uptick right now, especially with some of the rumors that are coming out, and we can call that rumors. A lot of excitement with Microsoft and the possible acquisition of some of the old Sierra properties. Anytime you have any titans that are involved, any of these big names, you're always going to get some excitement in the industry, and whether we get them or not, it's really helped. And like I said, I do know that there was actually some business that was conducted in Seattle. I mean, they're right by Microsoft, how far those things go, don't know. But there definitely does seem to be a good vibe, not only from the fans' perspective, but from the developers' perspective. Like they're amped and they're wanting to rock and roll. I've heard at least 3 people say, "Wow, okay, well this got my juices flowing. So let's see where this goes." So what do you think, Cade?
Yeah, speaking of the developers, so I knew a lot of the not personally, but I got to meet a lot of the Sierra alumni, and that was just like dreams come true. But when we're speaking about developers, I got to meet a lot of like more modern adventure game developers that were there. um, and getting to meet them, and some of them are making their first ever adventure game. And so for those who hadn't been around in the old days, and some of them were younger, like I'm in my mid 40s and they were like 20s or 30s, and they don't remember like the heyday of Sierra necessarily, but the event after, because we had that little private hot tub barbecue party afterwards, I invited those groups. There was the developer from Germany, there was one from England, and then there was another one, I forgot where she's from, somewhere in the US. But they were all just super, and then Julia Minamata showed up too. And I think that the event was just a hugely popular and positive thing for everyone. Like it really showed them that people do care about this genre. They do love the nature of adventure games, which is like puzzles and narrative and exploration and all that. And it really got them going. Yeah, and then my perspective as both like part of this documentary team, but also like a game maker, also like it was everything I wanted. Like it had fans, it had really awesome talks and panels, and I got to mix and mingle with a bunch of other game makers. And to me, that combination is it was really great. And the fact that it was focused on my favorite genre, which is adventure games, like that was something I never thought I'd get to experience before, because this is the first adventure game convention I've ever been to, and I knew about Adventure X in London, but I'd never had an ability to go before. So this was really special.
Absolutely. So what you want to
In the chat here, Will is the third from the bottom.
What say you, chat? Can we hear Will?
The chat's probably like a 20-second delay, just so everybody knows.
So here's
Brian,
what we want. If you can hear Will, let's get a thumbs up on there.
thumbs up if you can hear Will. Will is the third from the top.
third from the top, blue shirt? We call him Will within our little circle here, but yeah, while Will is figuring out some of the technical difficulties, I guess just because we haven't mentioned yet, for anyone who might be stumbling upon this and is not familiar at all with what we're doing, we are a documentary team that is looking to put together a documentary called Legends of Adventure, all about the story of Sierra Online and by proxy, the adventure game genre. And we've been crowdfunding on a website called backerkit.com, and it's been going very well. We've exceeded all of our stretch goals but one, and we're on with you here tonight to count down the final minutes. It says you're 103 minutes of our Backer Kit campaign, which is crazy.
Where are we sitting right now, Dave?
We're sitting at $334,000 raised. Yeah.
Which is
So,
amazing.
I mean,
Right.
it's
Amazing.
not to say we were surprised to have hit our goals, but I think we were surprised to have hit the first stretch goal so quickly. And maybe we shouldn't have been, because we kind of knew the community that was here supporting adventure games all these years, still playing all the great Sierra Online games. And yeah, this stream tonight is just kind of our way of counting down the final moments and saying thank you to all the people who have contributed. And the last thing I'll mention is that there's also a function on backerkit.com called Overtime. And as long as people keep donating, the campaign just keeps going. So who knows how long we're going to go here tonight, watching the numbers tick up and the minutes tick down. But yeah, it's just been such a joy to connect with so many great adventure game fans. And even behind the scenes, we've made some great connections just by virtue of launching the campaign. So this is our way of saying thanks and getting to chat with some special people in the community tonight. And Joshua,
asked
you
me
get to be
how-
the first here.
Yeah, you asked me how I thought the reaction was, or where I think the industry is at. I think the answer is right there, with the way that that your funding was, well, funded. I mean, not only did it get where you wanted to go, but it broke its back, and it's still going. So there you go. That's all. Are you using OBS to push this out? Can you check your actual inputs on there? And
I think I have an input now, but I'm worried that
okay,
there'll be some feedback, and maybe people can hear me as I increase the volume very slowly. Give me a thumbs up. I don't know.
How proficient are you in sign language, Will? Do you think we could do
No,
it that way?
I don't want to embarrass myself or offend anybody, so I'm going to avoid that one entirely.
Okay.
in case you guys
Probably
didn't
for the
know, everything
best.
that Will said is very profound and astute and hilarious all at the
Yeah.
same time. So
Yeah.
you are missing it.
You can hear me now. Okay, thank goodness. All right. Well, yes, the jewels you have missed. I'm quiet though. Okay. Well, I'll get closer to my mic, and we'll go from there. And I'll turn down my volume so we don't get feedback.
He said people are saying that your volume is there, but just turn it up a little bit.
I've turned it up. I've turned it up. There we go. Okay.
First hurdled. All right.
Volume 1 out of 10. All right, whatever. We're gonna go with it. We're gonna go with it.
No problem. Take it.
I was like, let me go for some of the
Please.
questions in chat since they've been rolling up. Brian,
Sure.
what are the rumors about the Sierra properties? I know Microsoft owns them after the acquisition from Activision, but has there been any news or rumors? The only confirmed thing that I've heard is the new Laura Bow thing. See, like there's been this fan made one that's kind of like beautiful on like a level of like a true commercial grade triple I like beautiful game. It's in 3D, it looks great. Apparently Microsoft is given like the nod to move forward. I don't hold me to that, but that's the last thing I've been hearing. I've heard other whispers about other Sierra games like allegedly in the works, but I don't have enough information to stake a claim or even say which names. I know which ones I would like to see, but that would be the only one that's kind of making some headway.
Is it Nine Zyme that's working on that Laura Bow game? I think
Nine Zyme.
they
Yeah.
posted an update, didn't they? That they were in a meeting with Ken and Roberta.
They did. Can I actually answer that one? Do you mind
Yeah.
if I answer that? Because I did actually reach out to all parties, and got a statement
Yeah, go for it.
Regarding that. Adventure Game Hotspots, gosh, tonight or tomorrow about it. And basically, Nine is saying that it was taken out of context. So that's where we're at. Yeah, so that actually this is causing damage to the ability for them to get their IP. So not so fast. I don't know how it was taken out of context, but so just hold off for a little bit. The important thing is that there was a meeting, and they might have been a little excited the fact that there was a meeting, and yeah, Ken and Roberta Williams did go in as for moral support and that type of a thing. But as of right now, they're just communicating. Official statements coming soon on that. Look at that! I come in here and I just throw water.
Setting the
all over
record
the- all
straight,
over-
Joshua. Thank you. Yes, yes.
If it's
Throw
better
water
to
all over.
squelch the rumors than get the real stuff, but like, oh man, I was really hoping that would be true because I know they've been working on that one for quite a while. Like I've had my eye on it for as long as it's been had some public stuff, but that one would be beautiful. I would love to see that one. A lot of these smaller,
Gorgeous.
just a lot of the smaller series I would love to see explore, like more of that explored, like the Laura Bow or the Conquests games, like even more like maybe another Freddy Farkas would be very interesting. I don't know. Of course, I'd like.
That's
to
one of
see-
the interesting questions in the AMA that we had over on Reddit today. I think I saw a couple of them, but what is the series you would bring back if you could bring back any one series or any one game? And for me, it's probably Leisure Suit Larry, though I have no idea what that looks like in the year 2024. Some of them, yeah, that would have to be very different, I think. But what's everybody else's answer to that question?
I think there's a natural place for King's Quest, and I mean, as sort of the marquee franchise, to continue in some form. Hopefully, with someone at the helm who can keep it true to its roots and isn't trying to turn it into something that it's not. With sort of the last official-ish one, but I know that there was that reboot, sort of restart about 10 years ago or so, that a lot of people do have a lot of love for. So
Yeah, I mean, like the Three Odd Gentlemen King's Quest. I think, like, I thought it looked beautiful, but I think the general consensus was that it was good, but it just didn't quite grasp people's attention enough to like go through all the episodes. I didn't even finish it myself, just to give it fair context. I really should go back and complete it because I think that's a good studio, or it was a good studio. I think they've since disbanded, but and I had a personal connection to the Three Odd Gentlemen before that game came out because they had done some work for us when I worked at PlayStation. So I thought it was in good hands. I still think it could be good. I just don't know if. I think they made a good attempt. Let me just put it.
They made a good attempt, yeah, and actually, from what I understand, it sold okay. From some of the other things, but it wasn't necessarily my style. It's kind of along the way of a lot more of the modern, gone away from actual adventuring and quick time decisions and that kind of stuff. But it was fun. My answer is Gabriel Knight 4. Give me some of
Yeah,
that. Any
yeah.
incarnation of Gabriel Knight. So
That would be-
that's my answer.
And it seems
I don't care if it's a game.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a book, a Netflix series. Give me the Schottenjäger.
It seems well suited to be adapted or continued in some form, what with the sort of procedural true crime kind of popularity these days. And obviously we know that Jane Jensen and Robert Holmes, they've stated as much that they would love to continue it in some form. So hopefully that happens. And yeah, it would be super exciting to see any of these franchises come back in some sort of, official capacity, official way.
How about underdogs? Any underdogs that you'd like to see? I know Cade, was it Dave or something, or maybe Cade?
I mean, I said like Freddy Farkas. I thought that was good. I think the Conquest series definitely could use more love. Like I think it was originally supposed to be a 3-part game that Christy Marks was leading, but it only got to 2. Conquest of the Longbow, Conquest of Camelot. I love those 2 games. Like, and I really like, even before those games came out, I was already a fan of Christy Marks because, she made Gem and the Holograms and she wrote for G.I. Joe and all these cartoons and things, and that really shaped my childhood. So. And she's also a huge proponent of giving players agency in games, not just leading them on a kind of a linear story, but actually making their decisions have an impact. And I think she might have made some of the earliest games that truly do that change the direction of the course of a story. So I want to see more of that.
Seeing some love for codename Iceman and Manhunter in the chat as well, and we know those are faves. Nobody's mentioned Police
Can we get
Quest.
some Torrance Passage in here?
Oops. Dr. Guillotine has jumped on, and now our thing is all off again.
Oh wait, hold on, Marcus.
Oh, overlays. You're gonna hate it.
We don't have a 5-person overlay.
Yeah, Marcus, maybe you can turn your video off, and I think that fixes that.
Actually, I am having serious lag in here, and I think I might be hurting your stream. So I might just hop on out of here. What do you guys think about that?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Come back at 5 for the final round though, if you want.
Yeah.
We'd love-
Will do. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all in a weird
Thanks
way.
for coming, Joshua, and again, congrats on the fanfare and the Hall of Fame and all of that. So amazing to see. So amazing to see.
Yeah, and let me say it too, in the early stages of us starting to talk about this thing, we had a meeting probably a year ago, more, about kind of combining our efforts with you at the fanfare. And again, thanks for being such a great host to our team when we were there.
With your powers combined, we became Captain Planet. And Marcus, I got to get out of here. Sorry, I'm killing it. I'm killing the stream with my lag. I'm not leaving because of you. But
Sure.
for sure. But I do got to go. Take care, folks. Love y'all. Congratulations.
Thanks, Joshua.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks very much.
Howdy, everybody.
Hello.
Hey.
There we go.
How's it going?
How's it going, Marcus?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm just getting set up over here. I haven't been doing any kind of streaming like pretty much ever, but here, I'm just set up real quick over here. All right. I think this cable was just a little tied up. Hold on one second.
We're seeing some more.
Damn broken headset. Congratulations. You guys are awesome. You got a successful back kit. It's making me have second thoughts about whether I should back it kind of to push my next game out.
90 minutes left, and we're blown away by the support, and thank you for all of the signal boosting that you've been doing on your end as well. Have really appreciated that, and
got you some
here.
good guest stars.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Marcus was intrinsic to getting Ken and Roberta Williams to even say yes to joining into the doc, because when we first approached them, they were deep in the Colossal Cave development, and they were absolutely too busy at the time.
Which was true. Which was absolutely true. Well, I mean, we couldn't even think of anything else. We were just trying to get the game done.
Yeah. But we really appreciate it because I know that you probably put in more than a few good words to Ken and Roberta to kind of nudge them over towards.
I mean, it's given us good exposure, exactly the kind of thing you would want. It might be just the right timing for. I see it. It's the only one in existence. I mean, I think I have two, but you're one of two.
I got one of the OG T-shirts.
Yeah, heck yeah.
I don't know. I have to wear this, but I only wear this for special occasions, so I won't wear
Thank you. I mean, that's amazing.
But yeah, if any of the watchers haven't played or heard of Colossal Cave, first of all, Colossal Cave, the original one, was the OG adventure game that spawned all of this stuff. But then Ken and Roberta and Marcus here developed it's like a reimagining, that's the word, but it's basically recreating the game, but in VR and 3D for a modern gamer. And it's kind of a big love letter to the OG, I think, from Roberta herself. And so big deal game, very, very special.
It's a game that inspired not only Roberta Williams into designing games, but Corey Cole, right? He said that that's a big inspiration for him. Ron Gilbert, he even put Zizzy in the new Monkey Island game as a homage to Colossal Cave. The list goes on and on. I mean, it is the original adventure game. It was all text based. You had to play it on a teletype connected to a mainframe. I mean, this is really dinosaur type equipment, but still super advanced stuff for back in the day. And I even picked up a teletype and had it in a couple of events that I went to play it in the original format. And something really cool. So at the museum that I volunteer at, the Vintage Computer Federation, we found a old PDP deck, which looks like a big flying saucer. It's actually an old school disc, but it's hard cased and it's huge. And it said 1975. And on it said Advent, which is, the old code name for Colossal Cave. We may have the original or one of the earlier source codes on that platter. and we just need to get a deck up and running to see what's on it and read it. And that would be really amazing piece of history if we have that.
That would be unbelievable if you could somehow make that happen. I know you like to get the original retro hardware to play the games, but like getting that one, how big is that hardware going to be? Like the size of a room?
It's huge. It's pretty significant. I wouldn't say size of a room. That's the UNIVAC, but you know, it is pretty substantial piece of equipment. Maybe like a size of a refrigerator plus. Yeah, so we have it. We just have to, bring it back up and running at the museum over in Wall Township, New Jersey. Shout out to Vintage Computer Federation. Vintage Computer Federation East. I believe we just had the West show right now. We are global, and we have an amazing organization of shows that we put on and show this vintage tech. And I'm the guy that's trying to bring gaming into the Vintage Computer Federation. And we have. So Colossal Cave is going to be the first game that we're going to feature in the museum. A little history about Don Woods and Will Crowther, and how Will Crowther helped create the ARPANET and was part of the MIT team, and as well as Roberta Williams in launching the first ever graphical adventure game with Mystery House. You know how much I love that game.
Oh yeah.
So,
I think that was the OG graphical adventure game. She and Ken made it. Like, started a genre. Crazy, huh?
Yeah, really, really fun stuff. So it all seems to be happening. I mean, it's like, I fell into this and I just keep on, deep diving into it and finding more and more rare items and rare history and connecting with these individuals that are legends. I mean, as we were kids playing the game, and then to see them all at the Fanfare was just wild to me. I mean, I couldn't even really comprehend at the moment while I was there. All these really cool legendary people. I mean, I got their games right behind me, and played them when I was a kid. The fact that I'm not a young guy anymore, and I was a kid playing these games and then connecting with these people, that they're still here. Some of them making games still today is just really amazing to me.
Yeah, the Fanfare was beyond my hopes and dreams, and you and I were both kind of there to sort of work. We both had tables and stuff like that, but we both got to still get to mix and mingle and meet some people our heroes, and get to meet some fans and stuff that we had met online. And
what an upgrade in venue due to a car smashing into the building and blowing it up the electrical outlets of the power station of the previous convention center. And then it's like, okay, we're just going to move it to a bigger and better convention center. I mean, what a huge upgrade that was. And it seemed appropriate. I mean, me, and that looked like and felt like exactly the convention center it should be in, and the way that it ended up being. It just all fell into the right place. I know they couldn't find the Hall of Fame awards, the original ones they made, but I don't think anybody really noticed or cared really that we just used, frames, picture frames with a printout of the award on it. And I'm sure they're going to remake them and get them out. But, with these minor little tidbits, I mean, it was expected for a first show ever. You can't expect perfection. And things just tend to fall into place and kind of happen for you naturally. As long as you got a goal and you have the arrow pointed in that direction, things seems to naturally happen. The universe makes things happen for you. And that's how it happened with Colossal Cave. And that's how it happened with the Fanfare, in my opinion, with Josh and Jack Allen and everybody that was involved.
Just for context for everybody else, so the Adventure Game Fanfare event, which is the first North American adventure game convention, it was supposed to be in a different venue, and less than 2 weeks before the event, they had to find and scramble a new venue because apparently some car, Marcus was saying, some car crashed into the building and it lost 2/3 of the building's power, so they literally had no power to really use for all the panels and the live streams and all the other things. And luckily they were going to have the Friday VIP party at this Tacoma Convention Center anyway, so they were able to beg and plead and get the convention center to allow them last minute just to move the entire thing there. And then it was a little bit more costly, and I don't know how that got covered, but it got covered, and it really was a nice venue. It was it felt like a real professional convention, and it was
Yeah.
it was run really well. Like I thought it was great, and I've been to
It was
like,
amazing, actually. I mean, straight up amazing is the word I would use. Brilliant, amazing, fantastical, everything that you can think of. All those adjectives of positivity definitely would be the words I would use to describe not only the event, but the people and it seemed to wash away any kind of negativity. It was just like everybody came together and was very positive about it. And they just wanted to celebrate these games and these artists because they're artists, right? They're writers, they're graphical artists, they're drawing, they're designers, they're coders. These are all artists. And it felt like an artist showcase. And to be able to take the snapshot of all of them lined up. And,
So cool.
you know, it was
cool.
so cool.
And to your earlier point, like just seeing them all there in person and knowing that they're all, you know, most of them are all still around, and we're just so happy that we can make this documentary now while people can, you know, remember the stories and share them. I think Ken has talked about, you know, for the historical record, you know, just like because the Sierra story is important to the history of video games, the history of entertainment in North America and beyond. And so, you know, we sort of see, I think, the higher level kind of like, okay, you know, just to set the record straight, to get the story out there in the way that it deserves to be told. It's so great that everybody's still here. That
I can't even believe that I got an email from Gabe Newell, okay, video congratulating us, in particular Ken and Roberta, but in launching Colossal Cave and saying and sharing how important, vital they were to the start of Valve and Steam and Half-Life, and giving them the chance to put it out there. And to get that video as a guy that, you know, barely even in the industry for a year, to get such a high level person reaching out. And
I've got my Sierra Half-Life right here. I mean, you know, it's that's so cool. That's so cool.
I literally just bought from Al's video game store, the girl that was Alex that was there selling. She had a Half-Life Counter-Strike big box. Yeah, I snagged that. I had to message her. We're just messaging. I'm like, yo, whatever, PayPal, send it. Yeah, I like that. So yeah, that's, you know, I haven't really bought many games as of recently because I pretty much have everything I would ever really want. But there's a few items that definitely pop up that I'm still after and interested in.
Yeah, for anybody that doesn't know Marcus, like his collection of retro games is very extensive, and it's very enviable.
It's just location, luck. You know, I don't spend big bucks on this stuff. I mean, I'm just a New Jersey guy that happens to be in between Pennsylvania and New York. And you just find these things all over the place. And I credit it to the fact that Commodore was here with their offices. Apple had offices here. IBM had offices here. You name it, Intel, everybody's here. And you know, and people in New Jersey, pharmaceutical companies that are here, New Yorkers, we're early adopters. We're the first in line to get an iPhone. We're the first in line to get that Commodore 64. We're the first in line to buy a Nintendo NES. I mean, when they did the Nintendo, right, the original launch, it was in New York. So it is the reason why I think a lot of these artifacts are still here, and people seem to take care of them around here. We're all collectors of G.I. Joes and Transformers and Commodore 64s. Yeah, anyway.
Cool. Yeah, like speaking of like notable big names from like way back in the day, like when Dave and Will and I got this email from Steve Wozniak, and he just wrote this long, overly enthusiastic email about how much he like his he didn't make games, he didn't have anything to do directly with Sierra, but he was there in the early days, and since he made the Apple II, and that was Sierra produced some of the biggest and best games for the platform. He was just a super fan, and just getting his support on this whole project was
epic.
It had to be on the level of like a Gabe Newell thing that you got. Like I felt like I got goosebumps. I was telling me,
yeah, heck yeah.
I was like, holy crap, I got goosebumps. And
I might even put that as a step higher. Sorry, Gabe.
Yeah. So I can sort of relate to that experience, but like it was also kind of, it felt very like I mean, we knew that this project was special. We knew that this is something like the world needed to hear and that a lot of fans would want. But hearing or seeing some of these other fans we didn't expect, like him and others that have come forward that we haven't even announced yet, has just been so like validating. I hate that word, but like it just very much confirmed that like what we're doing is definitely something very special, and we should.
The timing is perfect. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna, it's kind of touched a nerve with a lot of people, you know, in terms of we knew the audience was there that was kind of had grown up with these games and would probably be into a doc, but just the outpouring of support has been pretty wild. And yeah, it's just been a great way to kind of connect with all these people as we start to produce the doc in the near future.
You know, it was kind of funny because, you know, as I worked with Ken in the beginning, before even Roberta I decided to join I mean, I think she was always there, but full-time working on Colossal Cave, you know, we would talk about these kind of things. And I had the idea of doing a Sierra reunion. And in fact, I had reached out to Metal Jesus and tried to organize one maybe 2 years ago, I think it was, around the PAX West announcement that we did. So, you know, I have the same feelings that I guess you guys did, that getting these people together, because I didn't really know. Like, honestly, ignorance, I guess, is bliss in a way for me. Maybe that's why I just asked them to, you know, what you guys doing? Are you working on a game? Because I had no idea that they've been for years talking about how they're not doing a game ever again, that they're going to just, you know, travel the world. And I had no idea they haven't seen some of these people in 30 years. Like, that was not in my radar. So I'm just like, hey, you know, why don't we get everybody together? You know, I guess the idea, I'm kind of glad it didn't end up being me putting it together. It was much better that it was at this Fanfare, and it made much more sense. They got them much more exposure with the fans than just a party getting together. But definitely you can feel that people in high places and really like got their careers started because of Sierra, because of Ken and Roberta, were inspired by Sierra, were inspired by the games that they made, and you know, maybe had their first job in Sierra. And they're still making games today. And whenever they hear their names, so like whenever I would reach out to like Unity or Sony or Nintendo, and I was pretty much the front line, you know, calling all these companies to try to, you know, make them aware of Colossal Cave. They would be like, oh, Ken and Roberta Williams, they're the reason why I'm in the gaming industry. You know, like couldn't believe the amount of times I heard that throughout the time of working on Colossal Cave.
I mean, it certainly must have opened some doors when you like mentioned those names. I think similarly, as soon as we started getting the word out about the doc online, I think we had a Twitter space or an X space, whatever we want to call it, with Ken and Roberta near the start of the campaign, and Neil Druckmann, the creator of The Last of Us, and the show The Last of Us, just like jumped on just to like hang out and listen in, and then ended up chatting for a bit. And you know, we also got a retweet from Jeff Keighley, who I know he's a big fan of the Williams as well. So
hey, I got them back on stage for the Game Awards to do the announcement.
So good.
Talking to Jeff Keighley. See, I always said I knew the password. Ken sent me. And, you know, everybody knows the password. I think the biggest difference is I actually used it. You know? I actually, you know, knock on Nintendo. Hey, by the way, Ken sent me, you know, like, and they would, oh, well, here's the CEO's office. You know what I mean? Like, it would get you places that I don't think as any indie dev. So I feel a little guilty that coming from the jewelry business and coming from fashion and coming from the art world, to happen to just be like, okay, the first game I ever make, holy moly, I'm working with Ken and Roberta Williams. If it was anybody else, I don't think I would have gotten the exposure or the level of exposure. I mean, flat out.
Sorry, just having a little bit of a delay here, I think, on
No worries. I kind of ran out my train of thought. I don't want to,
Yeah.
dominate.
Just wanted to catch up with the chat here. I see Chris Pope has joined. Adventure Game Hotspot folks are still chatting.
Space Venture, let's go.
Yes. So many.
No,
familiar
Pope,
faces.
send me an email. I'm trying to reach you. I just send me an email when you get a chance.
Ken sent him. All right. So I'm just going to check in on the campaign. I think we just passed $335,000, and we're ticking up towards $336,000. Just again, I think we've said a couple times. We're blown away. Part of us, I think, are not surprised that this groundswell of support and love for Sierra games exists out there. But it's one thing to think that; it's another thing to sort of see it in action live like this on the stream. So, we want to make the best possible version of this story in documentary form, and this is what's
just don't go out and buy a Lambo. We would be really pissed if you did that.
You would hear about that. Yes. No.
I mean, but we could put a camera on it, and it would look really cool. Okay, we won't do
don't
it.
do
No.
it. No.
This is we're excited to put every cent of it to use and making it bigger and better, and more interviews and more days on the road that we can get to people that we might not otherwise be able to, and just having it look, and sound as great as it can be, and channeling all of that into this. So every single dollar, every single pledge that we get beyond this just gives us even more options of how big we can blow it up. So no Lambos just yet.
Marcus, what was your first Sierra game? Where did this all start for you? Like, did you play them when you were younger? Like,
Yeah, so I was a Commodore 64 guy, so there wasn't really much Sierra games on there. And then I think my last Commodore game was Ultima 5. I had bought a Commodore 128 just to hear the music. And then I switched to a 386 clone computer, and I guess it's around 89, somewhere around there. If I had to guess what my first game was, would probably be Space Quest 4. If I had to guess, I don't really recall exactly my very first. I mean, I played so many games back then. It's hard to really remember what was the first. But I also had a bulletin board system, and we used to, trade games, shall I say. We used to trade games, so I know I definitely had a bunch of them then. So I played Space Quest 3, I played the King's Quest, and then I love the dynamic stuff, like the Rise of the Dragon was really awesome, and Red Baron was really cool, these flight simulators. And it's like, even as a kid, you would always know who Ken and Roberta was for whatever reason. I don't know if it was the manuals telling you the story about them, or you read the back of the box and there's a picture of them on the back.
Right there, Roberta Williams, right on the front.
Whatever the reason it is, even as a kid, you knew who they were. You knew who the two guys from Andromeda were, and they were just really stood out, and you would always remember them. And then I kind of fell out of gaming. I went into high school, played football, and got into sports and athletics, and then only really got back into gaming around the mid 2000s with Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and playing Skyrim, and then System Shocks, and that were some of the older catalog games that I started playing. So I definitely know what people like in terms of modern gaming, and I definitely had the history of playing the old Sierra games. So I kind of knew what people really would want it to be, the Colossal Cave, and I kept on suggesting those things, and I didn't always win my arguments, even though hindsight is 2020, I kind of had the foresight on some of these things. We could save that for another time discussing those things, but there was definitely some battles between me and the Williamses on what the game should be. But ultimately, it's a great game, and it ended up being in VR, which is something I said we needed to do, and it's our best seller is our VR version of the game. It's the best seller, I don't know what else to say.
Just looking in on the chat, you've spurred a conversation about people's first Sierra games. I'm seeing lots of love for Rise of the Dragon. Anna V says it was Donald Duck's Playground was their first one. Still have the Rise of the Dragon big box. It's a beautiful game. Yeah. Red Baron, lots of love for that as well. We have to count the dynamic stuff and all of the subsidiaries of Sierra in this because like
Incredible Machine.
Incredible Machine, exactly. Yes, yeah.
I would say my first adventure game that I do know was Maniac Mansion on a Commodore 64. It's because I had a Commodore and because LucasArts, and that was. But I love Sierra too. It wasn't like I never really thought like, oh, one over the other or Commodore over Nintendo or Sega versus. I was never that guy. I always thought, give me all of them. You know, like I was that guy that I wanted to play all of them and just whatever the better version was. And for me, Maniac Mansion on the Commodore 64 was awesome. And I think the second one I got was Zack McCracken and the Alien Mindbender, which was a great adventure game. So those were really my first adventure games. Before I got into the PC world, and like I said, it was more likely King's Quest, Space Quest that brought me in. I think I tried playing Police Quest and like Codename Iceman, but didn't really like that one. It wasn't really.
Chris Pope is saying King's Quest 2 was his first one, but I think his technically first Sierra game was Frogger. Yes, people forget that Sierra published Frogger on the would it have been the Apple II at the time or I'm trying to think of the timeline there.
Do I have it? I might have it. Hold on.
Look, yes, tell us what it says on the box.
Hold on. Let me see. Well, I got oil. Oh, you know what? Another good one was Oils Wells. That was a good one. I got that one.
Oh wow.
Oils Wells.
Great art.
That one's.
I like how he called it. The company was like Sierra Vision.
Sierra Vision, yeah, I love that logo. Really love that logo.
Yeah, Sierra Vision, yeah.
And those were mostly like arcade ports, weren't they?
And here's one that's labeled Online Systems, the Jawbreaker. Now, I don't know if you know about this one. This is the one that was a Pac-Man clone where they got sued for copying
the president. Didn't they set legal precedent about game mechanics not being copyrightable?
Yeah, Ken won the lawsuit. So that one's a pretty interesting historical game, is the Jawbreaker one. Yeah, set a legal precedent for them to be able to produce that kind of game. But yeah, Frogger, that's that's a good game.
Deep cut.
OG. I was gonna say, what are some of the other ones? Like, I think somebody in the chat mentioned it, but like Black Cauldron, that one was like so weird because that one was after my first one was King's Quest 3 that I ever played from Sierra. My special black box.
We worked on that one together to get it for you.
Yes, we did. Like I was like sending him links on eBay. I'm like, is this a good buy? Because I think it is, but you're an expert. So like it's like, yeah, this is like, oh, and it's signed by Roberta and Ken. Can you see the gold and the silver signatures?
I still think a lot of people who grew up in the 90s maybe don't realize that the big boxes in the 80s were a little bit smaller. Cade, when you showed us that, I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of cute. It's like,
yeah, it's cute, but then they got bigger. Like,
yeah, so much bigger.
Like they got heftier too. I think it was also partially because they justified, like, I mean, look at this. This is ridiculous. But it's also kind of nice because it has more heft. You can hold like 17 million discs.
Dominating that shelf space. Yeah.
Also, like the Red Baron had a thick manual, and like it needed the room, and there was no PDF to download. It was like you had to print the manual, you had to put it in the box, and like you said, some of those had a bunch of discs. I'm trying to remember which one had a ton of them. One of mine has like a whole bunch of discs in it, and it also came. Some of them come in 5 1/4 and 3.5 inch discs. So they give you both in that box.
Oh, you get both. Wow, that's cool. I guess
sometimes
that's like the Blu-ray,
cool,
DVD, thing. Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was cool, but also very expensive, like from a production point. But like, I don't know what they could get it down to in bulk. But it was really nice when you would get both. Cause, if you bought one, didn't pay attention to the box, and it was 5 1/4, but you had a newer machine with 3.5 inch floppy disks. Like, they always had the card where you could like send in $5 and get the other one, but who wants to wait for a game that you want to play right now? So,
I want to just say, back in the 80s, being a kid in the 80s, there was a couple of things that really stood out, especially in, New Jersey, East Coast. One was Garbage Pail Kids. Another was G.I. Joe. Another one was Transformers, right? And one thing I just realized, and I didn't even know this until recently, that Christy Marks wrote episodes of G.I. Joe. So, like, I was a fan of hers without even knowing that she had written these stories for G.I. Joe, the real American hero. Gem.
Created Gem, yeah.
I love Gem. That was like, I don't know what it was. I guess the music, the cute girls, whatever it was. I loved it. I used to love it as a kid. And had no idea that was her. I mean, Conquest of Camelot, I did know about that game. But those other writings that she did really, really was shocking to me. I think even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and just like a bunch of really classical 80s, 90s cartoons and really great stories.
Now they're talking about Mask in the chat, so you've set off a whole conversation.
I love
classics,
Mask. Mask was fantastic. Yeah. Voltron. Yeah. Let's go Voltron. You know, those were all great.
My whole online handle, Kate Rageous, is like a Gem, nod to Gem in the holograms, because like she was truly, truly, truly outrageous. Like
nice. The origin story.
A DJ friend of mine, she's like, "You're Kate Rageous," and I was like, "Yeah." Stuck.
Yeah. By the way, and the way I knew that discovered Christy Marks being the writer for G.I. Joe, I think Kate and I were just talking about Gem, right? And then I go on YouTube and G.I. Joe is on, and I throw it on, and the episode is like written by Christy Marks. And I'm like, what? It's like, no way. I was like, what? That is really cool. So of course I was even more into it. Like, whoa, wow. Trying to analyze her writing style and like I analyze her art style because that's something Ken is kind of forcing on me right now. Is he's like, if you're going to be a game designer, you got to be a good writer and you got to stop making spelling mistakes. so I really try to dissect those styles and I'm not trying to steal the style, but just understand there's a certain basic formula that you have to follow when you're writing something, and just try to understand those basics and then make it your own and add your own flavor to it.
Yeah. All right, Micros, you got one more minute, and then we got to have a new special guest coming in. Any other final stuff you want to do?
Real quick, go to guillotine.tv, grab yourself the baggy version of Colossal Cave. I also have the PC version for the small box limited run, and so go there, check it out. It's a real bestseller. You get the Ken SL, little small. Man, I should have pulled it out.
The bag version, by the way, is a throwback to the old days when we used to sell video games in floppy disks in a Ziploc bag, and it looks really cool. And the cool little custom USB stick that he had made that looks like a battery, the Ken SL.
It's a prop in the game, so it's like it's not just random. It's actually a prop in the game. And it's only limited to 100 units, and we're already over 65 of them sold, so there's only a few left. Grab it before it's gone. And that's it. That'll be at guillotine.tv.
Cool. Amazing. Anyway, thank you. And I'll be sure to come back in a couple hours when we do the final wrap at 5 p.m. Pacific, so it's 8 Eastern. I can't do math today, apparently. Anyway.
All right, sounds good.
Cool.
Thanks for coming.
Have fun, guys. Congratulations.
Cheers. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thanks for all your help. That was Marcus jumping into the stream, and maybe this is a good time to take a check on how we're doing on the campaign, because we're under 60 minutes left, 59 minutes left, and pushing towards that final stretch goal there.
Yes,
there he is.
I was gonna say show the stretch goal. Hello, Steven. Can you hear us?
We can see you, Steven. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Steven? Okay. Technical difficulties are part of.
Hello, can you hear me?
There you are. There you are.
Hey, there he is.
Yes.
How are you?
Hey. I can hear you and see you. Everything, audio, video, the whole thing. Hey.
Good to see you.
Welcome, man.
So I got to see.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I got to meet Steven, aka.
Oh wait, I
What's up? We can hear you beautifully. At least I can.
I think there might be some lag on his end.
Good. I've pretty much recovered from the convention. Oh wait,
Yeah,
I got a bit of a lag.
So
Yeah.
cool.
There we go.
You sound good.
Wait, now I can't hear you. So,
Always something. Sorry, everybody. We will
hang
get
on.
this figured out.
Wonder if there's lag or something.
One sec.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. I can hear you now. Sorry.
Good. Anyway,
Oh.
good to talk to you. Can you hear us just fine?
Yeah. I can hear you now. I was listening to like the YouTube stream at the same time, and I was getting an echo.
Yeah, turn that off. That's like about half a minute, but delayed, I think. But
Yeah, I was listening to myself talking, and it was kind of disconcerting.
echoes of future past. Anyway, thanks for coming on the stream, and like it was so cool to meet you at the Fanfare. Like, for me, connecting with the adventure game hotspot people has been a somewhat recent thing in the last year or two, but putting faces to names with so many of you all was so cool. And I'm just so impressed. Also flew over all the way from England to go to the western side of the United States.
I know, which I didn't really do very often, even when I was living in the US. Like I mostly kind of stayed over like on the East Coast. Like I would only go to the West Coast. I've only been there like a couple times, really. Like I went there for PAX West that one time, when they were just kind of launching Colossal Cave, and then they had that kind of like like adventure game panel with everyone. So I was there like mostly for that. Yeah, obviously, I couldn't miss the adventure game fanfare though, because I really wanted to kind of meet everyone in person, and I knew that kind of there's like a lot of people I already knew who were going, obviously, in like the hotspot and you guys and all that. So yeah, it was just it's so great to kind of meet people in person rather than like online. So yeah,
like I had been on a video call with you before, just right before that actually, but it was really nice to and I've seen your videos like a million times, so like I already knew what you looked like. I think you barely knew what I looked like, so I imagine it was a little strange. But
yeah, I feel like I might be better kind of communicating with people in person rather than kind of online, because I don't know, I just like having that kind of connection more, so
I think we've all adapted to online communication and getting to know people, but like there is something special about in person. You get to hang out, you can sit on the same couch with them, you can go to a restaurant and eat with them,
right,
different about it, and I think it's really special.
And then you can see like how tall people really are.
This historian Trolls I knew he was tall, but I wasn't prepared for that. He's got to be like 6'10" or something.
I know, like I thought I was tall until I met him, and
he's got half a foot on you, I think. Like he's very tall, but he was just as nice in person as like I hoped he would be. So yeah, but some people, you never know what their height is. Like.
Yeah, I like that photo of him and Roberta Williams, where he's kind of stretching up like this and she's kind of down like this, and like the height discrepancy is so huge.
Yeah, because she's petite. She's very like she's up to here on me, I think. Like she's not short, but she's definitely on the shorter end. And then she's married to Ken, who's pretty tall.
Yeah.
I guess she's used to being around tall people all the time, but yeah, there is something special, and the fanfare was so amazing. So next time the fanfare comes around, everybody, I highly recommend it. They're talking about doing one in 2026, so
I think Dave and I were feeling left out, and I think we're going to have to make an appearance there as well next year. But it was fun to see it from afar, and Stephen, glad you made it back in one piece. I know some people were having travel issues as well, so
Yeah, I had my own like share of travel issues. Like my whole travel plans actually changed. I was originally gonna fly through Chicago and then ended up just getting like a direct flight, just because it was easier. But yeah, like those 4 days, like I don't think I slept very much at all. like those
You're
those
probably
whole
super jet lagged on top of, you know, all the other busyness of
yeah,
the
like I
events.
was like jet lagged throughout the whole weekend. But the thing is, like when you're at a con, like you don't always feel it so much because you're so kind of like involved in like, you know, what's going on, and you know, you're just kind of like on this high. And so when the convention ends, like it just kind of hits you at the end. So yeah, like I felt that at the end, but it was totally worth it. Like mostly just kind of like meeting people. And you know, I got to go to a lot of panels, which I don't always do at conventions. I got a bunch of stuff signed, got a bunch of cool swag. I was just looking at my stuff, like Marcus was just on, right? He was talking about, I was trying to find this. This is what he was talking about, like the battery.
Yeah.
This is like the Canicel battery. Yeah. It's not real, but it's
Put it up and show them, like, if you want. 'Cause it's just the USB stick inside, but he had like those really nice custom ones made.
Yeah, that's the battery. Yeah, that's like the battery machine that you can find in one of the mazes. It's just like a God. I haven't played Colossal Cave in quite a while, but I kind of played it to death though. Like when I did, like I just, you know, I went through it so many times, and like the first time I played it, I ran out of time because I took too many moves. But anyway.
No, they did it back then. It's like Mystery House. You only get so many moves before the light goes down, and then you have to...
Yeah, that's right. So you know, you've really got to plan your moves effectively.
Steven, I think we asked Marcus this and Joshua when he was on as well. You mentioned Colossal Cave. What was your first Sierra game or Sierra adventure game? Where does it start for you?
Oh, it was King's Quest 1. Yeah. That I think that was like, that might have been like the very first adventure game I played, at least like graphic adventure game. I think I played like one or two text adventure games before that, and this is like on my dad's computer because I didn't have one at the time. I think I played this like a couple text adventures, one called Jinkster and another called Nord and Bert Couldn't Make Head or Tail of It, which is all based on like puns and kind of like, you know, sayings and stuff like that. And you know, I was so young at the time, I had absolutely no idea how to play that game. It was such a mystery to me. But then, you know, when graphic adventures came along and I played King's Quest, that was like a real kind of eye opener for me, because I still remember that, just kind of being just like, you know, blown away, like being able to, you know, kind of walk around in that environment and, you know, climb trees and stuff like that and pick up items, and it was just amazing. And like, you know, it's still my favorite adventure game, the original King's Quest. Which is why I was so happy to present that award. So like at the award ceremony, there's like an award for King's Quest, and I got to present that to Ken and Roberta, which was you know, which was definitely like a highlight for me, as it's my favorite game. So yeah, definitely deserves to be in the Hall of Fame there, I think. So
Absolutely. Like, by the way, can't we just give some more shout outs to the Fanfare, because that award show felt like it was an Oscars level quality. They had like musicians between the segments, they had like a lineup of really nice presenters, and like they were so well organized, and like it just was like lighting and videos.
Yeah, like I was so impressed. I was so impressed with like the way that it was organized. It went so smoothly.
And that was all Alec and Daniel Greenberg from Winteria.
Yeah.
And like they just, I was shook. I was not prepared for like how kind of badass it was. It was really cool, and I got to be one of the award presenters as well. But like, I, when they give you your cue card and your little envelope with the award, sealed, so you don't know what it is, like with the instructions about what to do, when to go, and all that. I was like, oh, okay, cool, but I wasn't prepared for like the whole experience, and like, wow, it was phenomenal. So,
Right.
I mean, it shows how much love and care that like everybody wanted for this.
Yeah, I thought like that really showed in like the presentation of the of the show, and yeah, like the only thing is I didn't get like a sealed envelope because so I kind of already knew like what the game was, so it wasn't really a surprise to me. But yeah, like the cue card, I didn't write the cue card, but it was kind of written as if I kind of had, because it was actually something that I would say. So yeah, like I almost fumbled it though, because I'm so nervous on stage. It took me like a second to get going. I'm just like, I'm standing on the stage and I'm like, okay, all right, I got it now. So, but yeah.
Well, you didn't seem nervous, and I was there in the front row, so like you nailed it. You were great. So because I'm not so nervous in front of people in live, especially in front of big crowds, but.
Okay.
You seem very natural.
I guess I'm a good actor.
Yeah. I didn't have a clue that you were nervous. You just seemed like very natural. I thought it was like as natural as you appear on your YouTube channel, because you appear always very, natural there. So you didn't seem nervous whatsoever. So.
Well, I don't know how I appear in videos. I don't think is quite the same as how I am in real life.
I think we can. I think a lot of us can relate to that, though. For sure. Yeah.
What were some of the other fanfare highlights for you, Stephen?
Oh, I mean, there's like so many to kind of it's just like the whole experience, as I say, just kind of like meeting people, like hanging out with people, getting to see like all the guests. It was amazing to see like all the Sierra alumni kind of getting together and like standing on the stage and everything, and just like the variety of panels. Like it was obviously they have like King's Quest panel which Cade moderated, but and the Sierra panel, but then they also had other ones like the Riven retrospective, and then there was a whole panel on Shannara or Shannara, however you want to say it, which I really appreciated, because that it's not something you always get to hear about. I also got talking about Shannara, like I got some props. So
oh wow!
I took my big books with me and got everyone there to sign it. Laurie and Corey Cole, and then there's a couple other ones on here as well. Douglas Herring, and so yeah, like that, like this is the kind of stuff that I love, like being able to kind of get stuff like this signed by people. I also got Ken and Roberta's signature. Roberta, whoops.
Whoa.
Roberta signed my Colonel's Bequest box, but unfortunately I smudged it, which is the same. Like she signs it and she's like, okay, make sure you don't smudge it, and then I do. So obviously, like I didn't listen to Roberta, and that's what happened. That's what happens when you don't listen to her.
Save early and save often.
Yeah, exactly. I wish I'd saved my game. I could have reloaded, but never mind.
I wish that was possible in real life. I think we all probably do.
Yeah.
Cool. What else can we go about? So we're up to 336,645. There's a backer train going on that has about 3 minutes and 20 seconds left. By the way, so in case everybody on the stream doesn't know, if you look right below the funding amount, there's the backer train thing, and basically what that is whenever a backer pledges, it adds a 10-minute backer train, and then it stacks up. So everybody that pledges after that just adds to the train. Right now, it's just fun to look at, but the cool thing is when we get to the campaign end goal, which is in 42 minutes, The backer train, if it's still going on, it will extend the campaign fundraising window by 10 minutes for every new backer. So we might go into overtime. We have no idea when that might end, but once the backer train is broken, then the funding goal is over. But it could go well after the time, and we might actually hit the final stretch goal, which is producing the companion coffee table book.
The Canadians on the team really appreciate the concept of sudden death overtime. So yeah, we're here for that. We want that to happen, and we want to get to that book milestone. We don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, that would be wonderful, but it's not up to us at this point.
But we have
And Steven,
quite a lot since yesterday. Like Dave, didn't you say it was like about $40,000 since yesterday, or something like that? It was like some ridiculous number that we've gotten just in the last 24 hours or something.
well, we crossed 300K sometime last night, right? Or 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern time. So yeah, I mean, just to have raised another 36 since then is pretty huge. And yeah, we would love to get to that final stretch goal because something that when we're producing these documentaries, there's always just too much good stuff in most cases, where there's photos that we are able to collect from some of the participants that just don't make the cut for whatever reason, not enough time, great stories, great anecdotes. So the idea of this book, if we hit that goal, is that this is kind of where all that other cool stuff lives. And even some of the things that are in the doc, but maybe people would want in sort of that coffee table style book, we get to kind of house it all here. So and Stephen, obviously as a backer, which we very much appreciate. I mean, to throw it over to you, what would you like to see in the documentary? And I guess we've got this accompanying mini doc series as well, which is kind of where a lot of the other hidden gems and other topics that might not make the cut of the main feature. What would you want to see get across?
What would I like to see? Obviously, well, I mean, obviously any kind of like archival, any kind of like archival footage that that you guys can dig up, like anything that we haven't already seen or kind of talked about before, basically, because I mean we already know like a lot about a lot about the history of Sierra, but I'd kind of like to know kind of just like and anything more that kind of went on behind the scenes, and kind of also anything maybe from people that you don't always hear from, because like we all know kind of Ken and Roberta Williams and Jane Jensen and kind of all the kind of more well-known people, but I'd also like to kind of hear from some of the other people that that you don't necessarily hear from, basically.
Not necessarily the usual suspects. Yeah, I think that's definitely one of our goals behind the scenes is, to have it combine the familiar faces and the key players with some of the people who've maybe never done an interview like this at all. So that's
definitely
super valuable feedback.
Yeah, definitely on that the same page with you there, Stephen. And as someone who spent more than a decade with another project, digging up ephemera and weird old things and sort of artifacts from film production and things like that. Like a dream for me for this would be to get a hold of like video masters for Phantasmagoria or Gabriel Knight, or even they were producing a ton of great behind the scenes content that ended up on like catalogs and on CD-ROMs later on. But you look at it now and it's like 120 by whatever it's so low resolution.
I know it's like postage stamp quality.
And it would be wonderful to find that, even if it was VHS or Betacam quality, even if it was that's salvageable, and that's something that you could put in a documentary. And like I don't even think we could put too much of that without up-resing it in its current form. So it would be fantastic to find that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because something like I don't know. I think it was like the like behind the scenes video for King's Quest 6 or something like that, which I've seen like so many times, but the resolution is so small.
Yeah.
And and I would love to see kind of that kind of like higher res and kind of anything else like that, because because I always treasure like anything like that, and I don't think that I haven't seen like like an awful lot of that. I mean, maybe I haven't seen everything, but
we'll see what we can
know.
do.
Mhm.
We'll see what we can do. I see a question in the chat, everybody. Any ideas as to where the premiere may be held? Even the city or the region, if not the specific location. I think that really depends on where the film goes. If there's a film festival premiere, it would be in the city where that film festival is. If there's some sort of road show, it's hard to know at this point. It would probably be a major city of some kind, likely in North America. I think that's about as specific as we can get right now. Dave, any thoughts there?
I think we can commit to North America. Yeah, there's a number of factors. Their goal is also obviously to get some of the stars of the documentary out to the premiere. So depends a little bit on where they are and where they are in the future. But certainly anyone who kind of backs at that premiere level is going to get ample notice as to where it is.
Chris Pope just suggested the theater in Oakhurst, where Sierra had so many people. That would be yeah. And Mark and Scott filmed some of the Space Quest stuff there, by all accounts. So yeah, that's a good option. I think. I think speaking of Chris Pope, I think we have Chris Pope in the waiting room. I'm not sure what our timing is here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay, well.
Yeah,
Steven,
thank you so much, man.
No,
Steven, don't.
I can make way for Chris Pope. It's like it's fine.
But we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you supporting and backing the project, and we'll make it something you can enjoy. So thanks.
I'm gonna be following it with great interest, obviously. So
thanks so much for all the support, Steven.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Sure. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
No, great. Yeah. Great chat with Steven there. And let's check where we're at with 36 minutes left.
Just past $337,000.
Where we're at with 36.
Oh wow, it jumped up a lot since I noticed.
$37,000. Where we're at with 36.
Wow, it jumped up a lot since I noticed.
There we go. Hey guys, can you hear?
Chris, I think you might have to mute your YouTube link if you're watching there. Yes, we can. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Welcome.
Very good.
Wow.
Welcome. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
So,
Great to be here.
anybody, I don't think I could perfectly summarize who you are, Chris, but I will say probably the more recent thing that you're attached to is Chris Pope has been the producer of like behind the scenes on the Space Quest venture, which is long running.
Well, I won't say producer.
I'm not sure the role that you had. I just realized I wasn't sure. I was like,
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Mark and Scott actually didn't want a producer. So the early stages, they were like, Chris, you kind of act as our producer to sort of get things lined up. And then at that point, they're like, we don't really want a producer. So yeah, but yeah, definitely. I wanted to kind of clarify that because I think if we had a producer, the game might be done by now. I'm not sure, but who knows?
Coming. It's very close, I think.
Yeah.
Very excited about that.
Chris, just wanted to thank you for helping us connect with Mark and Scott and getting them in the documentary. Really appreciate really that help there.
Oh no, my pleasure, man. It was great getting the two guys involved, and I know I probably said this to you guys, but I just want to say it for the stream. I have wanted there to be a documentary for Sierra for so long, and I know that people have tried, but just couldn't seem to come together. And looking to see what you guys put together, and then also of course Ken and Roberta vouching for you guys, and that goes a long way. And so as soon as I found all that out, I was on board 100%. So, and you guys have done so great with this backer kit, man. I mean, wow, you've knocked out 3 stretch goals, and you might even get the 4th, between now and when this all ends. I really hope you do, because I really would love to see that coffee table book come together for sure.
Fingers crossed.
By the way, we just broke 450% of the funding goal. I just did the math.
Wow.
Like just in the last minute, I think. Anyway, sorry to interject, but holy crap, everybody!
Oh, you're good.
Wild.
I think it's because Chris came on the stream. That must be
Yes.
the reasons. You're a good luck
Yeah,
charm.
yes.
You can't go to.
That's it. The Space Pope's name. That's what I'm known for. Is basically asking for money. So, in fact, in our game Space Venture, we have a whole entire HoloTube channel dedicated to me asking for money. So, yeah, what you get, I guess.
I mean, you got to make fun of yourself sometimes. Like,
Oh yeah.
I appeared in some different comic books and games that my friends have made, and like I always say, like just like poke fun, but don't like be evil about it. But like I'm definitely getting like shot in one comic book, or like falling off a cliff in some other thing. I think it's hilarious and amazing. So it's like, as long as it's done with love, I think it's great.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, no
And-
doubt.
Go ahead, Dave.
I think as we really started to approach the project and the people who needed to be involved and the games we wanted to really hone in on, obviously Space Quest was at or near the top of that list. For maybe anyone who's watching
Yeah.
who doesn't realize maybe the importance of Space Quest or the importance of Mark and Scott, could you maybe give them a picture of why this is such an important part of this hero story?
Why Mark and Scott or Space Quest in general is? Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
both.
I definitely think that, King's Quest, when it came out, it did such a great job of laying the foundations, I think, of like what they called a 3D adventure game was back in those days. Obviously, it wasn't the first adventure game, but it laid that foundation down, and it gave you that fantasy genre of getting to explore as like a knight wanting to become a king, but then that there was a big, huge missing ingredient there, right? And that was science fiction. But not only that, comedy. Roberta herself even says, the comedy is not my thing. But when Mark and Scott teamed up and created such a great, great idea with the whole anti-hero science fiction thing, it blew everything away. And it's so funny to talk to them about it because, and I'm sure some of you heard the story, but they didn't want their picture on the box because they were afraid the thing was going to crash and burn. So then Mark went out and got the pig nose and the Spock ears and the mohawk at like a Halloween store. It was around October, I think, that they did this, and they ran off to Yosemite and snapped that photo. And next thing you know, they're on the back of the box, and what an iconic photo that is. And the 3mm cell, we still have that actually.
So cool.
The 2 guys from Andromeda cell that they took all those years ago. And we're planning to do something with it one of these days, maybe make a high resolution photo for somebody. But anyway, yeah, the 2 guys were just a huge part of Sierra. I mean, you hear those names, obviously Roberta and Ken, and there's Scott and Mark, right? And Jim and all of them, Lori and Corey and Jane Jensen. There's so many I could name, obviously, but Scott and Mark, bringing that comedy, that science fiction comedy to adventure games was a big deal. So I actually, when I talked to both of them, my biggest pitch to them, because for one, I know with Mark, he was very nervous because he had already spent an entire day with the documentary crew about 10 years ago. They filmed at his house. He just a lot of time, and then it just crashed and burned. It never went anywhere. And so he was just sort of like, man, are you sure about this one? Because this is spending this whole day and doing all this stuff. And I mean, they just grilled him too. He said they just grilled him with questions, and so he was a little nervous. So, but again, having Ken and Roberta backing you guys, and then plus seeing that there's some past stuff that you guys have done, I think that made a big difference. And then, of course, I mean, now he saw how well the backer kit is done, so there's no denying that. A lot of people got a lot of faith, and that's good. And then So my biggest pitch to them, though, getting back on track of what I was saying, is simply this: I could not imagine a Sierra documentary without the two guys from Andromeda. I mean, could you imagine? It would be
We
missing
were really
such a
hoping that you could help us do that, and you magically were able to talk them into it. But yeah, it would have been a huge, obvious missing piece, and I'm so glad that they decided to join us.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it was my pleasure, honestly, getting those guys involved, and I think it's going to be fantastic with them for sure. So,
And
hopefully that
if I
answers your
might, yeah, absolutely, and more, and having now gone from someone who was a fan of the games to working with them, what have you learned about the two guys from being in that inner circle about how they like to work and what makes them special as creators?
Well, I definitely learned that saying. Well, first off, again, having a producer is not something they wanted from the beginning. And so I kind of had to stomp that out real quick, because I don't want to be, because that's one of the things they said up front. They were sort of like, yeah, you kind of be the producer as far as getting the Kickstarter off the ground and all of that, and getting excitement around the Kickstarter project. So that was my first role. But in working with them in the game development itself has been obviously it's a dream come true. But it's also interesting to learn that the saying about a game developer will never finish if you don't stay on them about things. That's very, very true. Mark, especially with his art, he's pumping out art all the time. Like every time I turn around, there'll be more art added to the game, and it's sort of like, all right, Mark, we're in the QA phase right now. We're in round 2 of QA right now. We just finished round 1. We're now starting round 2, and next thing you know, I'll load the game up and be like, hey, I added a special VFX to this scene, and it's like, okay. And the crazy thing is, I guess I'm somewhat of an enabler, because I'm just like, oh, Mark, this looks fantastic. This is such a great idea, And then occasionally you find, oh, well, there's a bug that's been added to this VFX has a bug, so we got to go in and fix it. So that's been a fun challenge, not pinning off the slowness of our project on Mark and Scott at all, but just saying that I noticed that they want, especially Mark with the graphical side, he just wants everything to be perfect, absolutely perfect. I think in the end, especially with his art, man, it blows me away every time I see it. He's been putting together art for the Steam page that's going to go up. He actually was working on that today, and we're taking Cade's advice. Cade's advice was like, you need to get a Steam page up immediately. But he's working on that.
Yeah.
yeah, he's working on that, getting that together, and it's like, he handpicked some really good art to go on there. He made some custom art for it, and he handpicked some screenshots. So, but yeah, it is one of those things that as an adventure fan, I will say that if you asked me, which people at Sierra did you dream of working with? It's Mark and Scott, hands down. That's a dream come true. Getting to work with those guys and interact with them has been a dream come true. It's been a long dream come true, because we're going on about 12 years now, and I was kind of laughing. I was like, man, to think about it, I think I've worked with the two guys longer than anybody at Sierra has at this point. I'm trying to get this game. The embarrassing part of it, though, is it's just one game, but we've been working on this one game, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So anyway, again, hopefully that answered your question. Probably too much information, but
Oh, it's good. And I guess, there might even be someone watching this or listening to this who doesn't realize, wait, the two guys made a new game. Maybe just kind of let us know where you're at in the process, and when can we expect it to hit platforms like Steam?
Yeah, absolutely. So getting the game, just to kind of back up just maybe a year and a half ago, we put the game out, but we didn't actually play test it with QA people like we should have. And it was on an older version of Unity. Keep in mind, when we did the Kickstarter 12 years ago, we paid thousands of dollars for the licensing for Unity, because back in those days they licensed it. Back in my day we had to pay for Unity licenses, But anyway, we paid for those licenses, and so we kept saying, okay, well, the game's going to be out in a year. Well, a year passes. The game's going to be out in another year. Year passes. The game's going to be out in another year. Next thing you know, we're 10 years in, and we've got this out-of-date version of Unity. So we started partnering up with Ken Williams, but he wasn't done with Colossal Cave, and that kind of fell through. So we ended up making the decision we've got to upgrade to a new version of Unity, because we can't even release the game on the platforms that we promised without it being on the new version of Unity. Man, I tell you what, when we decided to climb that mountain, we had no idea what we were in for. It was insane. So we spent a year and a half upgrading, and about, I want to say it's been almost 3 months now. We did it about 3 months ago. We finished it. We finally got it to the golden path. You could play through the game all the way through, straight through. And then we worked on bug fixing for another month. And then finally, we got to the QA phase. So here's where we are right now. We're in the QA phase. So quality assurance, we've got some guys that are very, very hardcore adventure game fans that are hammering on the game. And we've given them the ability to report bugs. And we've also given the ability to upload videos to us. So as they play the game, they're not only reporting bugs, but they're giving us the video footage, which is allowing us to see exactly how they're playing the game, and then also, where are the bugs at that you experienced. And that way we can also see what clicks they made to experience it. So we finished up round one of that about a week ago. We fixed about 90% of the bugs they reported. We didn't get them all fixed, but we were sort of like, okay, we need to move into the next level of QA. So we got about 90% of them fixed. And then we just released a build to them on Sunday. So they got their build Sunday evening, and so they've now started hammering away for these last couple of days. So we're in round 2 of that. The biggest thing I'm happy to report on the game is that it's way more stable than it was. You can really hammer away at it without getting soft lock. There was some crazy soft lock issues that we didn't know about when we released it a year and a half ago. So we got a lot of that fixed. We've streamlined a lot of issues with router, so people aren't like constantly switching to router and thinking they need to be playing as router when they don't. Our little robotic dog companion. So we've streamlined a lot of that. One of the biggest complaints was the inventory, dragging and dropping objects in inventory. We've made that as easy as can be. So all that is fixed. And so we're, as far as where we're at right now, we're doing really well. I would say we'll probably go through at least 4 iterations of QA, I would think. We're going to release the game to the backers on Kickstarter that gave at the level of beta testing. We have $30 and up backers, and these $30 and up backers paid so they can be beta testers. We're going to release it to them and see what kind of feedback we get back on that. And then once that's done, it's going to go public. And I tell everybody I can't really give an exact date because we don't know. I would love to say by the end of the year or maybe the beginning of 2025, but it's all going to depend on the QA. When it's all said and done, it's going to depend on the QA as well as our beta testers in Kickstarter.
Excellent. Well, yeah. I mean, it's and where can people find the latest and greatest about that if they're just hearing about this for the first time? So
you can definitely find that on. We announce everything on X, Twitter. The guys from x.com/guys from Andromeda, and then also on our Facebook page. You can find it there. You can also go to guysfromandromeda.com. It's got some information on it. And then we've also got a YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Andromeda guys, I believe. So that's, and of course, those areas too, with the exception of YouTube, have links back to our Kickstarter update pages. We did just release a pretty large Kickstarter update that goes into more detail than what I just went into with you guys on where the project is. So that's going to be the best place to look.
Yeah, I think we shared that out to our followers just because, you know, that was a big update and lots of information, and just, you know, you guys have been on a journey with it, and it's just like, you know, shedding that light and helping folks understand, you know, the hard labor and trials and tribulations that go into game development. I mean, it's wild, and you know, that's part of what we're hoping to capture in the documentary is just all the amazing work and creativity and struggle and blood and sweat and tears that goes into making games, especially the games that folks love, like the Sierra catalog, and yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, everyone, I think I'm super stoked for Space Venture for sure.
We're excited too, believe me, to finally have this thing out in the open. So for sure,
it's like one big, awesome, interesting chapter to the history of all adventure games. A very unique one, but like one with a good. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be a good ending. You know, we're hoping and praying, and we get this thing out, everybody's going to like it. So, but most people, the play testers seem to like it, and the one of the biggest compliments that we get is that this feels like a Mark and Scott game. It like lives up to it being a spiritual successor to Space Quest, and so that compliment, that's a pretty high compliment to me, that people can play it and it's like, okay, yeah, this feels like a Space Quest game. So
definitely high praise, and good news for folks who loved Space Quest and came up with those games. Super cool.
Yeah, and again, Chris, thanks for being such a good friend to us here at the dock, and you know, helping us convince Mark and Scott that this is something that'd be worth their time. And now it's on us to get out to them and make this thing sing. So just say thanks for being part, and yeah, making this even better.
Oh, my pleasure, man. It's been great working with you guys on trying to get this, you know, any little bit of help I could provide. And, you know, I'm 100% in your corner this whole way. So you definitely have an ally. I'm all about seeing you guys succeed at this. So
that means the world, Chris. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. My pleasure.
And yeah, I don't know if we have our next special guest in the on deck circle, so to speak.
Do,
but
yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Chris, thanks again, man. And we need your spot on the couch for that person. But we will be talking to you again soon.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for having me on. I appreciate it.
Take care. Cheers.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
See ya.
So,
okay, we got the next
here while we wait
contestant,
for the person.
coming in.
Let's take a look. Where are we at?
15 minutes
we have
left.
Hey, Michael.
Michael.
Dip into that overtime period in which Lord knows.
How's it going?
Good. Can you hear us?
Michael, how you doing today?
I'm great. I could hear you. I'm very much not a special guest here. I feel like I'm like crawling in the shadows of all these titans that are keeping the adventure gaming space live, but I'm very happy to be here. And thanks for having me. And also, congratulations. This is like a seismic, colossal success. It's super cool, and I'm happy to be a very small part of it.
Well, give yourself a little bit more credit than that, because Michael, we're happy to have you on, not just because we know you're such a big supporter of the history of Sierra Online, but you were one of our higher level backers that we had on the campaign. So definitely wanted to extend you a very hearty thank you for helping us get here, because it's through a few acts of extreme generosity, I'll call them, that we're able to get to the total that we're at right now. And yeah, we wanted to have a chat with you on here to let people hear your voice and see your face and hear a bit about why you decided to get involved in the campaign.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is it's just an echo chamber here, I'm sure, of people that we're all in on like the plan here, right? There's no detractors, there's no skeptics here. So, I say that is added context. Like anyone watching here, there's no way I could hear about this project and just sit back. Sierra has had an enormously positive impact on our lives. It's cascaded outwardly into an abundance of warm memories and trauma, right? Trauma, around saving early and saving often. Like we
Yep.
built a lot of good habits because of Sierra. So it's with gratitude, that y'all have put this vision of a project together, and through your sheer drive to get everyone on board to help participate. I think that's amazing.
Well,
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
And
we appreciate it.
go ahead.
And
Go on, Will.
to your point, Michael, they call it save scumming these days. I just call it being prepared and doing your homework, saving early and saving often. That's definitely the name of the game.
Hey, it is okay to be a scumbag in my house. So, it's so important to save early and save often. I'm just repeating the same thing. Yeah.
Roberta plays very well from day one.
And also I saw in the comments, Will, you mentioned that you were playing through King's Quest VII with your 5-year-old daughter.
Yes.
Or you just completed. I am presently playing through King's Quest VII with my 5-year-old daughter as well.
How is the experience for you guys?
It's great. The opening musical number really hooked you in. It's pretty wonderful way to entice you, to entice anyone. From here, I think we're gonna do the King's Quest remake. Actually,
Okay.
I think that it is. If you go from King's Quest VII to that, just in terms of like a kid, it's very easy to pick up, right? Like with the controller. She can make her way through, especially Chapter 1, which I think Chapter 1 and 5 are really, really neat. I think that they're they hold up remarkably well. She's in love with the idea of Sierra, and I'm just really reinforcing the concept of saving early, saving often, as much as I can.
It's a life lesson, really. Yes.
I was just going to say that in the talk of being a save scumbag, we want to know, when did you first become a scumbag? What was your entry to the world of Sierra and adventure games?
Absolutely. So I grew up around Fresno, which is just around Yosemite, and so I would get those packs of games that were in the supermarket for $5 for a row of top quality things. And the very first game I ever played was King's Quest V. That's no other game before that. King's Quest V was the first game I ever played, and I fell in love. Right? There it is.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm in company with I saw Marcus's collection, and I'm okay, well, I'll just hold up my box.
That's a beautiful box. That might be the most beautiful King's Quest box art. It's just
this is I think a little broad context. I'm a filmmaker as well, and that's my interest in supporting any films that do that talk about stories I care about. I immediately want to invest or be a part of it. Actually, I don't have that box with me right now, but I have in my film Murder Barry Win, I have throwbacks to King's Quest V and all of the Sierra games within the movie itself. This is my prized possession. I have an embarrassment of riches here, but it's
Whoa.
Wow.
but again, Marcus, I'm sure you're still watching. It's nothing compared to your collection. It's not a Cade. Yeah, just humiliating me immediately.
We don't have to measure piles, boys. This is.
I know it's not a competition.
It's not a stack measuring contest. Come on.
You don't understand.
It's just measuring how much I love.
I love that. This is probably the first time in my life where I'm talking to people that all get it. My King Graham fanfiction meant nothing to all my 4th grade classmates. Nothing. They're what is he talking about? This lunatic. My 5th grade teachers. Why you keep talking about King Graham? Who's Roger Wilco? This the value of Sierra is that for me personally, 7 years old when I'm playing King's Quest VII, right? few years later, I am actively emailing and participating in Roger Wilco's virtual broom closet, making proposals for theoretical Space Quest movie fan castings. I think I wrote like Wayne Knight as Elmo Pug, and I think if you find the website, my name's still there. But when I was a little kid, and the very first email I ever sent in my life was to a man named Al Lowe. I just got the internet, and I'm like, I need to track this guy down because I just played Shape Up or Slip Out. I shouldn't have been playing it. I was, not an adult, and I didn't position
That's
myself
literally
as a
all of
grown
us.
up.
That's
Yeah.
literally all of us. You just see Larry a little too young, but
Yeah, well, I mean, I wrote him a series of questions, and he left me not only with all the answers, but he left me with some dirty jokes. And he was the first person that ever emailed me in my life. And I never told him I was 11 years old. I think I just told him like, oh yes, sir. That is a delightful joke. Thank you. Good day. But I feel like Sierra's really enmeshed themselves, throughout the course of my life. It's where I got my love of storytelling. Phantasmagoria was my gateway into horror, right? King's Quest taught me how to type accurately in a panic, right? It's very important. Until last year, I was still popping onto the Realm server now and then. Like, this thing is entrenched. It's gotten its claws into all of us, and there will be no relief until this documentary is finally out there. This is going to be, the sweet relief we all need.
Well,
guys, we just jumped quite a lot. We're at 341,000. I think the YouTube stream is probably half a minute late, but we have 2,500 backers. 8 minutes left. Allegedly, the backer train goes on longer if it keeps going, but anyway, I just wanted to call it out. It's pretty cool. Also, the backer train seems to have a colorful rainbow behind it that wasn't there before.
It's glowing. It's glowing. It's very exciting. It's very, very exciting. That's Michael. That's so cool that people don't realize back then that like these developers were way more accessible. We got some emails from folks saying like, yeah, I was like, we were driving near Oakhurst when I was a kid, and I asked if I could just like drop by. And they just dropped by and they got a tour of the office and they met Roberta and all this stuff. And it's just like, and even in the early days, you called, the number for a hint, and Roberta would answer the phone, like in the very early 80s before they, blew up. And it's just like, it's a different games industry today.
I got a reprimand from them when I was a kid because I tried to get 2 different subscriptions to Interaction Magazine going at the same time. I called under one name and one address, and then I called with a different name under the same address, and they were like, we can't do 2 subscriptions to one house. And I'm like, no, these people are subletting in our home, unrelated to me entirely. They sent me back. I think they sent me a nice postcard as like a nice try. But like you said, Will, like, people were very accessible back then, and as you could see, they're still accessible now, and that's something I feel we've lost a little bit in some of the gaming space, and I'm happy to see that it's continuing here. I know that you have a few minutes until the moment. I feel like you should be pulling out like a certain other or any other guest at this time, because this is like the moment before. Maybe everyone pulls out right now. What if everybody did? That would suck. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no one do that. But no, you're the perfect person to be on as we kind of at least count down to when the campaign should end if overtime officially ends. But no, we're looking at the count. It's yourself and 2,500 others who have made this thing pop.
Wow.
Yeah, thank all the others, and we may have just jumped up by another 8,000 there.
Yeah, wow, that means there was a VIP backer. Wow.
Yeah, thank you to whoever that is. But yeah, no, Michael, this is why we want you here right now, because it's the people who have stories similar to yours, and everyone kind of grew up with these.
Oh my God.
In their own way. And so we get to kind of roll back the clock and tell the story. But
Happy
yeah,
to be
happy
here.
to, yeah. And yeah, for anyone else who's watching, it's this backer train is very cool because basically as long as people keep pledging, the campaign keeps going. We don't have any more stretch goals for you, but we'd love to meet that last one and create the companion book with all the cool stuff that doesn't make it into the doc. So
I
that's
want the book. I really want the book, Dave. I think that it would behoove everyone to double their pledges right now, right this moment.
yeah.
Let's make it happen.
I love this, Michael. You can be as shameless as we can't be. This
Oh
is very
yeah,
helpful.
yeah. I
Yes.
would sell cigarettes to a kid. Like I have no shame. I'm a filthy capitalist. Everyone, double your pledges right now. The book is going to be worth it.
And that's a good thing that we probably not even pointed out on the stream or as amply as we should, but you can upgrade your pledge. If you're feeling more generous than you were a couple of weeks ago when you made your pledge, you can go in and go from Collector's Quest to Collector's Quest Plus or anywhere along there. And it appears we just added another VIP quest backer, and I know there's a couple slots left for that. So there is that option. And as long as the backer train keeps going, the more time you have to make that decision. But yeah, being cheeky, but we are so appreciative for people who have chipped in. We know it's not nothing at any of these levels, and yeah, we're gonna make everyone proud. Thanks in part to people like Michael who have chipped in.
Really appreciate
I get the sense that with this crowd, this backer kit, that every single dollar goes into the screen and every single cent you put in adds value and is appreciated. I have funded or partially funded so many things that had no communication, no lasting impact, anything. That is not the case with this documentary. I get the sense. I mean, the fact that you're all pulling out games left and right, that you know who to bring on, that I'm seeing, Adventure Game Hotspot, references to Metal Jesus. Adventure Game Geek was here. Reference to Space Quest Historian. Like, you know what you're talking about. Every dime will actually contribute to this campaign. So double your pledges right now.
Yes. Now the new goal is to hit 700K before the night is out. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah.
I apologize. That's a little too excessive.
And that's the thing, that we really wanted to, like, Cade was a bit more connected to the day-to-day sort of adventure game community as it's existed for a while than Dave and I were, but we wanted to come in, and we've been working on this for 2.5 years. We wanted to come in and meet the folks who are continuing to hold the torch high, whether they're developers or creators on YouTube or elsewhere, the folks who are making sure that the memories of these games live on, but also that new games in the genre are being made. And yeah, we're not here to, we want this to be the best possible version of the story that it can be. And yes, we're very hopeful that every dollar that we bring in, as much of it as we can, ends up on the big screen and sort of does the story justice. It's an incredible story, and we want it to have that level of polish that you see from other documentaries about the tech world and the game world, and it's just it deserves that. It's an incredible story.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to live, I'm sorry, it's a irrelevant. I'm just curious, if you had to live in one of the game worlds, like you have to spend a year there surviving, which world or town would you live in? Daventry, living in the Monolith Burger, the mansion in Phantasmagoria. It's a nice option.
Daventry sounds like it looks beautiful, except for all the evil wizards and things
dead,
around. But,
dead immediately.
Yeah.
Dead will. Dead.
Other than that, yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, Layton. It just seems like they really got the police force seems good. It seems like a very safe place, other than all the indiscriminate killings and people being run over by cars, and like at least the cops eventually get to the bottom of it. So let's go with that.
I might have to say New Orleans from Gabriel Knights. I mean, New Orleans is my second favorite city already in the real world, and I want to live in that one for a bit and see how it goes. Hopefully I won't get sucked into a voodoo cult or anything, but I'd like to experience that a bit. I think it's really hard to say though, man. There's so many good places, but I'd say Either that or Spielberg from Heroes Quest 1.
Mm.
For Glory 1, whatever you want to call it. I have my Heroes Quest box, so I'm going to stick with that name.
I kind of love that Cade just got the option of living anywhere, including in a fictional universe, and he said Louisiana.
Yeah.
So thank
New
you
Orleans is
for
great.
yeah.
I don't know, like, New Orleans has a very special place in my heart, but when like Jane took me on that journey the first time I was like a teenager, and I had just gone to New Orleans like for the first time like right before that, and it felt very authentic. Like it really, really did feel like the New Orleans I had just experienced in real life. So she did it justice, but it also has like a lot of fiction to it, but a lot of that fiction is not too far off of reality. Like there's a bunch of voodoo underground stuff that happens there. I mean, obviously magic is fictionalized, but there's a lot of it that she definitely took it for real, and I want to revisit her version, like the video game version. I would like to see more of that, like to really make it more crazy. Yeah.
Michael, what is your destination of choice?
Oh, Mordek's Castle, like without reservation, like just to see all the wild things that happen in there. Granted, I wouldn't want Mordek or Manannan or any of them there, but I might enjoy myself there. Getting up the mountain would be a bit of an issue, but I keep pies aplenty with me at all given times, so I think I'd be okay.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, you gotta do it. Yeah, I mean, like realistically, Daventry, it's so close to my heart. Those as a kid, the sprite environments are just the stuff of my dreams. I feel like I've had so many dreams or daydreams as a kid of just like wandering around and evading one violent death after another. I mean, but there's something like really cool about the prospect of hanging out with Roger Wilco and trying to evade death, a horrible death at every which way. Daventry though is like the place to be.
Nice. Good choice. I would just like to note for the stream that we are officially in overtime. We're 4 minutes past the end of the campaign.
Yes.
It's been re-upped a couple times, and just for folks who missed it, every additional backer at this point keeps the campaign going for another 10 minutes.
That's cool.
So it's very, very, very exciting.
That's great. So I think we could all agree within the people that are watching this, like let's stagger these every like 9 minutes and keep this going until we have effectively hit $700,000. And I want to get that by midnight.
If Michael says it, it must happen. So yeah, I appreciate that confidence and optimism mixed together. But yeah, this is going to keep going as long as people keep donating. But yeah, again, thanks so much, Michael, for becoming part of this. And it's obviously we're here for sort of the funding to do this, but getting to meet some really cool people with their own, roots in Sierra has been like the added joy on top of it. So, man, we will.
Oh no, David.
We lost Dave mid-sentence. No. Say again, Dave. Say again.
I've been waiting the whole stream for this moment to hear what his
Basically,
words would be. Oh no.
Yeah.
Dave,
Am I back now?
You said something profound, and I think we missed it.
Working now. Say it again.
Oh, okay. I'm back. I was saying it's been great to connect with people such as yourself, with your own roots in Sierra and the games, and yeah, we'll be talking a lot more in the future, obviously. But thank you so much for being such an important part of this with us.
Hey, thanks so much. My pleasure. You're jumping up a lot in the numbers, by the way. I think people are doubling their backing. So. Thanks, everyone. Congratulations again. Well deserved. I cannot wait to see this amazing series and the miniseries making of, and that book. Double your pledges right now.
We'll get there. Thanks so much, Michael.
Thank you so much, man. Have a good night.
Cheers.
I mean,
the numbers, we have raised $49,000 since yesterday.
Wow.
I don't even know how. I just didn't realize that was how much it jumped, but like it keeps going up. So like, we might hit this stretch goal if this backer train keeps going.
Yeah.
Hello.
Pretty
Josh.
flabbergasted, but yeah. Hey, Joshua, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, guys. How are you guys? What an
Really
amazing
good, thanks.
accomplishment and goal. Just to see the numbers keep climbing, and having more people involved. It's absolutely fantastic.
Just climbed again the second you came in by a fairly sizable amount. So you're a good luck charm.
Well,
Definitely.
glad it's rubbing off. It seems like each time that you've got another person log on that it continues to jump. So all good stuff.
Yeah, you're a good luck charm, I guess. But yeah, I mean, Joshua, it's great to have you on and great to have you be part of the campaign because you were also one of our EP Quest backers. So I guess before we get to anything else, thank you so much for helping us get to where we've gotten to with us.
Well, I think, not to just, echo what everybody else has said, but, this is a story that needs to be told. And I think that, this is a company and a set of unique individuals that has all touched us and influenced who we are today. And if you grew up in the 80s like this and had a computer, like you would not know who Sierra Online was. Like you would have at least walked into a game store or a software store and seen the boxes all lined up. And, I remember just the window shopping of kind of going through the aisle and being, oh, I want that one. I want that one. And I want that one. And how do I save my allowance? How do I cut more lawns in order to get the next box? And I saw Cade put this up earlier, but this is my version of IBM PC Junior King's Quest, and you can see that I actually had gotten it signed. I remember when I first came on in the project, was telling you guys that had made a trip out to Oakhurst in my youth, and just kind of swung by the company and knocked on the door and asked for a tour. And they're like, well, we don't exactly give tours, but I was able to leave a number of game sleeves and things like that behind. And then lo and behold, 4 weeks later in the mail, sent back to the East Coast where we're signed. And you talk about Roberta answering the hint line. I mean, these people were accessible, like they're rock stars now, but at the same time, like they took such pride in the work that they did and appreciated the fans for who they were, and like I said, have made indelible marks and memories on many of us.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think, when we saw your pledge come in, we sort of suspected that there's a close personal connection to it. But tell us a bit more about, because what I thought was cool about your story is like a lot of people who have backed have maybe talked about the reasons, said like they kind of played these games alone and now they're just now realizing that all these different people are influenced. But it was kind of like more of a family event for you, wasn't it?
Yeah. So our first computer in the house was an IBM PC Junior that took the cartridges, and this was our family like weekends that we would get together and we would play King's Quest. And as you know, it's up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west. And as I told you, my dad went in and hijacked the company photocopier, and he had this piece of graph paper that he had drawn out all these little squares to kind of create maps. And then that worked for all of the games that we had. But I remember kind of drawing, here's the east side of the castle, here's the west side of the castle, and then we've got the goat over here, and then this is where you can pick up the carrot. Sorry if I'm doing a little, spoiler alert here on solving the game.
I think you're safe. 30 plus 35 years on. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just love hearing the stories of everybody. Going back to the family, this was our Friday and Saturday night. Like we would all get together. Mom would bake dinner, and then we would all come and surround the computer and try to figure out the riddles and the quests. And ultimately, it did turn into much more of kind of a solo thing. But that was what that's what hooked me, and has now basically played every single game up until it changed much more into Activision days. But and I think just the influence of yes, it's not just the save and save often. We all wish, I think, that we could hit the restore button on some choices that we might have made in our lives. but at the same time, I think that it has influenced the way that we think about things. I knew what Baba Yaga was before John Wick. There's like there's you just start to have a whole bunch of appreciation for trivia, for just things that common people should know that they don't know that because they didn't play the games. That sort of thing, and just a way of thinking about things, a way of logic and problem solving, and just kind of perseverance. Like it's like for a long time there, you didn't have the hint line, or you didn't have the hint books where you could highlight and have the stuff magically appear, and you had to just keep working at it. Like you'd sit there for hours and hours, and you keep dying over and over and over again. And you're like, how do I figure this out? And you feel like Josh Baskin and Big, and then, ultimately, you persevere, or you finally, I forget who the last person was who was just talking about, like, I didn't have any friends that played the same games as me. And so you wouldn't have that same camaraderie that you do now with console games where everybody's playing it. You had to persevere. So yeah, it's all good stuff.
It's kind of the cool. Go ahead, Kate.
I was just saying in the chat that younger gamers had to be way more resourceful than because before the days of the internet, because they had hint books you could buy, and that was like kind of expensive. $15 back then was still a lot of money, and the hint line was there, but you'd get in trouble if you called it too much from your parents. But no, I think going to the library, asking friends, asking parents for like tips and stuff, especially for the puzzles that would make more sense to an adult that had like at least a high school education.
The hardest thing for me, and this took weeks, was figuring out that it was a mushroom, and then you were small enough to go and fit down in the hole, and that was a stumper for
you need to know your
for
Lewis
a very
Carroll.
very long time.
You need to know your Lewis Carroll.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the problem was it wasn't not knowing that the mushroom made you small. That the little dot on the screen was an actual mushroom. That was a thing that wasn't all that intuitive. But yeah, no, I mean, it's all, you're right. It's that type of stuff of knowing, and you didn't have that resource to be able to, you couldn't Google anything. There wasn't a Wikipedia, there wasn't Reddit to be able to find the solutions.
I think I was saying on the Reddit AMA we did earlier, people were talking about, just that, like what memories you had. And I remember with King's Quest 6, I lost the manual, and this was when the manual was
the copy protection.
Yes, but also they would have like the hints to the Cliffs of Logic. There was like some very clear hints there, and for weeks one summer, I think like every friend in the neighborhood came over, and we tried to crack it. We tried to figure it out until we finally found the manual under a pile of books somewhere. It was like, oh, it was right there the whole time. But yeah, definitely a different time, and I think part of the reason that we want to make this film and that Sierra is so special to everybody is just those deep childhood memories of just like good, fun, interesting times on your computer at a time when a computer was still like a really new and exciting thing. And every game that Sierra put out, there would be something new or innovative in it. And the games themselves, the stories were just, amazing and captivating in all the right ways. And so, yeah, that's for me. That's what the attraction was. It's just that sort of nostalgia. But then when you start digging into it and you realize what an amazing story it is, how many incredible, creative, brilliant people were involved in making all of these games and making the company, and it's a story that deserves to be told in the best way possible, basically.
Yeah, and I think for me, just because we haven't talked about it a whole lot, the Police Quest series and Jim Walls was probably my favorite. I still walk around my car every time before I start it, just so I don't have a flat tire. Last thing I'd want to do is pull out. Just having kind of, again, like I was talking about before, the way of thinking that one of the first procedural games, right? So you'd have to read the manual. You would have to like understand what are some of the things that are in there and do things by the book, so to speak.
Literally, yeah.
Was just kind of groundbreaking at its time, and was super fun to follow in the world of Sonny Bonds, and how he could very easily, turn around his high school sweetheart who had unfortunately found her way to the streets, and then, got her all cleaned up and turned around, and that sort of thing. So,
It
got to
happens
save
all
that
the
damsel in
time.
distress. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. These are true to life tales from the Force in Police Quest, but yeah, and an underrated gem in my opinion too. But yeah, it's the cornucopia of games that came out of Sierra Online, and it's interesting, which games people kind of gravitated towards, and yeah, I think it kind of speaks to the company that they were, hit after hit, massive franchise after massive franchise, and I think that's why it's so well remembered today.
Yeah. Well, I applaud you guys for putting this whole thing together, and then obviously all of the backers, everybody who is out there who's funding this to make this a reality. Obviously couldn't be done without them. And so I love the fact that there are all these other, fellow gamers that are out there that this had the same impact that they had on their life as it did for me. And so can't wait for the finished product. It's going to be absolutely spectacular.
Well, thank you so
Absolutely.
much for the support, and we're really excited to continue this journey and keep you in the loop and keep all the backers in the loop about what the next steps look like for the actual production. We'll be sharing, behind the scenes as we go, and news as we go, and there's more people to be revealed. We're still having conversations with folks about people we want to get in the documentary, but you have to, let the ink dry on some of that stuff.
Great. Well, guys, thank you so much. Thank you for everything you're doing, and I'll let you get on to the next guest, or just keeping everybody pledging along. So I agree, double your pledge, and we'll go from there.
Thanks so much.
I don't think you have to, but everyone else should.
Exactly.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Thanks, gentlemen. Bye.
Thanks
but great
so much.
to chat with you again. Take care.
Bye.
Wow. Yeah, that was Joshua, one of our EP Quest backers. Thank you so much, Joshua, and our all other backers. It looks like we're at least by my count, 2 minutes and 17 seconds left on possibly the final backer train of the campaign. This is crazy.
Hello, Matthew.
Hey, how's it going,
Hi,
Kate?
Matthew.
Just making sure. How are you folks doing?
Good, thanks.
Awesome. Congratulations. I mean, that's a big number.
Sure is. Like, Ken asked me the other day. He's like, "Did you think you could do this?" Like, because I think couldn't think he wasn't sure we could get to 75K, and I told him, I was like, I was pretty sure we could get to 200, but this is astounding. This is amazing, and so we're just so grateful, because like we talked amongst ourselves, like, if we did go past it, good. That means we can add more to it. We can do more interviews, cover more games. We can make it rich. And so this is going to give us a lot of freedom to do a lot more. So I'm personally, as a deep fan, like super happy about this. So yeah, it's like a reality, and it's coming now. After this, all the dust settles, then we have to actually get to work. But
Right. That's awesome. How long is it supposed to be at the end, or do you not know yet?
The length of the documentary.
Yeah, the length of the documentary. Yeah.
Whoops.
oh, he's glitching out.
It's not
Oh,
even-
and we just got sorry, we got hit
Oh.
hit at the last minute. Sorry, I just wanted to highlight
Say
that
that
with another
again.
backer.
You glitched out right when you were answering.
Yes, sorry, Dave.
Wow,
Sorry.
the overtime continues.
The overtime continues.
We don't know. It kind of depends. I mean, as more gets donated to the campaign and we can make it bigger and better, might get longer. But yeah, definitely trying to 90 to 120 minute range. But it kind of depends. But
That's awesome.
yeah.
But the thing is, we unlocked the mini series stretch goal, so that means we have a little bit more freedom to go down more rabbit holes that we want to do and highlight lesser known things and interview people. But
Which that would be really cool, because what I'm interested in, like as like super fans, I think a lot of us know a lot of the mainline stories, but I'm really curious about, what are the little side stories that we don't always hear about as much.
exactly.
And there's so many interesting kind of nooks and crannies within the Sierra catalog that, it's cool to have something for like this. I mean, this is such a great story that we could tell in doc form, but maybe it doesn't fit into the main body. So it's kind of there just for that reason. Hmm.
What is
Um,
it? What's one of those nooks and crannies that you'd be interested in learning more about, Matthew? Is there something in your mind that
Oh gosh.
we should
I
go into?
I really don't know. I'm interested in the stuff that I don't know. That's sort of the point there. But yeah, one thing that always interests me, I guess I'll say it this way, is you have this sort of culture, right, in Oakhurst that this sort of small town feel of the camaraderie and working together and play together, and that seems very different from a normal sort of company, and I'm sure that there are tons of crazy stories that they have about things that happened both during and after hours.
Yeah, I think it was Ken in our first interview with Ken and Roberta who described it as a bit of a frat house vibe, into the anarchy that went on there. So, if people think of Sierra as kind of this monolith, but they don't realize, it really began with a handful of young people kind of making it work, whatever way they could find. So, certainly going to be spending some good time in the dock in those early days.
Very nice. Yeah, I was talking to Sean Mills once, whose book The Sierra Adventure is really good. And the way that he put it was, they thought of themselves as hackers. Like they were just this scrappy sort of get things done, in the middle of the night, at least in the beginning, right? So I think that's cool.
There it is. There, yeah, we had a good chat with Sean Mills as we were kind of starting to develop the premise, and hopefully he's even someone who might be able to be part of it, who knows. But I mean, there's so much to cover that I am glad that we got to unlock that mini doc series, because now there's a home for those interesting I don't know, side quests we'll call them, but I mean, why don't you tell us a bit about, we kind of been asking everybody, where did they start in the Sierra fandom? What was the game that started off for you?
I've been asked this before, and I have tried to remember this so much, and I'm not quite sure. It was either King's Quest V or King's Quest IV, but I'm pretty sure it was King's Quest V, because we got I still remember it was a CompuAd IBM compatible, probably 1990 or so. And the first game we had on that was Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego. But the second game we had on that was some King's Quest game of some kind, and then I think we went into the backlog and got the rest of them. But I very distinctly remember King's Quest V. We had the one that people called the weird one now, with the kids on the cover, with Graham leading them away like the Pied Piper.
To me, I call that the Peter Pan one, because it's like way out the window. It's like I have a copy of it, but I definitely like the other one better.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a soft spot for the kidnapping one, but just because that's the one that we had. But yeah, no, it was that one, and we had all the King's Quests, except, now that I'm thinking of it, I don't think that we actually had the first one. We had the SCI remake of the first one, but we had all the others. And then we had, Conquest of the Longbow, which is probably my favorite Sierra game, and that's why I made my huge video on Conquests. But Conquest is great. We had Freddy Farkas. For whatever reason, we didn't have many of the Space Quest games at first, though we got some of those later. But yes, the way I like to say to people is we were a Sierra household. And I still remember going to the mall to Babbage's with my dad, and picking out new Sierra games, and that has always these games have sort of been marinating in my brain ever since, and they just won't go away. Even if I tried to get rid of them, they wouldn't go away. So I may as well not fight it. I
don't see the problem here. Also, I may have the same problem.
So there's that. But it's wonderful now with especially the tools that we have. Like, I'm friends with, and I've mentioned this in my videos as well, Sluicebox, and the people before him who have made like decompilers for SCI code, and being in in tech myself and being able to look at that code and see what they did, and sometimes the really wacky stuff is a lot of fun. And I'm not sure if it's a direct line, but I am positive that playing Sierra games had some effect on me going into software development, because it's just around computers all the time. So have them to think in part for that.
I'm sure, like, and anecdotally, you think it's the case, but we've had a couple of other people who've backed the campaign whose names I won't mention, but would probably describe them as kind of like movers and shakers in the tech world. And I think, like, I don't know, I think playing those games on whatever computer they're playing them on the time kind of opened their eyes to, wow, all of this can come out of this box, and wow, if this is possible, what else is possible? And just the fact that Sierra itself as a company was a company of innovation had to have sparked something there. So I think what you're saying about your own career is absolutely the case, and an echo that goes far beyond just gaming. It's technology and media as well. People inspired by something in this one medium, it had this butterfly effect over here. So something we definitely want to highlight in this.
For sure, yeah, and I'm thinking too, as you're saying that it's I agree with all of that, but it's also even down to the nitty gritty of to launch these games and then to save them, you have to understand what a directory is, and so or how to make a boot disk. And so as a kid learning that, it's like, okay, well now we're starting to get an entry point into how does this machine actually function, or if forbid you had to get a patch disk from them or something. How do we install this, right? You had to actually know your way around the computer to make these things work sometimes.
Totally. And we talked a little bit earlier about Steve Wozniak, how we reached out to him for the doc and got this super enthusiastic response about, yes, I'd like to be in it. And that was kind of his first experience. I don't think some of the things that the early Sierra games did with his own computer he thought were possible. They kind of blew away, Battleship and Pong, whatever else was hanging out on the Apple II. So yeah, it's just, even beyond the games, it's something that's important for us to get across in the doc, is just and to say too, people who did not grow up on the games of the era and only really, maybe they're younger and they don't know they only know the games of now. To get across to a 20-year-old, hey, games didn't always have stories. That was something that Sierra and Ken and Roberta helped institute, and obviously a whole lot of others that came after them. But there's so much to cover and so much to kind of give the company its props for that it'd be a challenge. But yeah, it did so much that we're excited to have the opportunity.
Oh, for sure. And you saying that, I'm thinking some of the ways that I explain to younger people about this is that at the time, if you wanted a story in your game, you had to go to adventure games, even if it was, well, let's be honest, in some cases a paper thin story with paper thin characters. It was at least a story, and it was at least characters, and you weren't just shooting things or in a spaceship or something. It wasn't just an arcade thing. So yeah. There was definitely that, and then there was also the all the, you mentioned the innovation of Sierra too. It's with every game that they put forward, it was here's some other new technology we're using, or with King's Quest IV, first commercial game as I understand it to use sound cards, right? And then their adoption of CD-ROM later. And being a huge, push in that, it's just awesome. One of the cool things about the convention that just went on is I got to corner Richard Aronson and talk to him about Conquest of the Longbow, and he was telling me about some technique that they were using to make a waterfall look realistic in those days, or in those terms, right? And color cycling. I'm like, this is cool. They're trying to do stuff, right? So they were wizards. It really is. It really was magic,
Mm-hmm. And I feel the need to mention that the backer train just keeps going. We are fully into overtime at this point. Someone else has just added a pledge. Thank you for that. And so this thing just keeps going, and it's going to keep going as long as people keep dropping in a few bucks. So it's just been cool to see everybody come out in full force and have this final 24 hours that we've had, and to reinforce for anyone who wasn't around when we were talking to Michael on the topic, every dollar you put in goes towards what you're going to see on the screen. So if you were someone who backed in, the first day of the campaign, everything that kind of gets piled on after the fact just gives us, another day on the road with someone super interesting or important, and the extra polish and post-production. So to anyone who's on the fence, who's looking at that backer train and thinking, well, maybe I will toss in on it, that's what it all goes towards.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool to see. Hey, Kate, I had a question for you. You might have answered this earlier. Who were you most excited to meet at the adventure game Fanfare? I'm curious.
So I had already met Ken and Roberta. I had met Jane Jensen before at the PAX panel 2 years ago. I met Paul Stetler, who's the lead of Phantasmagoria 2. I had not met the Coles. That was really cool, and they actually stayed in the same big house as me, so they were cool. Like the first night they got there, I was wrecked because I was kind of tired and jet laggy. But then they were just chatting, and they kept me up till almost 3 a.m. just chatting at the kitchen counter, and I was like unreal getting to talk to them. But because I love their games, everything they do is just so well made. So that was probably a highlight. I didn't really think about who I would hope to meet because I knew I was going to get to meet a bunch of them. I think I was unexpected to see until the last minute. I found out they were going, but Chris Pope and Mark Crow went, and that was really cool to meet both of them in person. And I actually got to sit down and hang out with Chris Pope at this after party for a couple hours, just chatting on his couch, just catching up and getting to know each other for real. I don't know, it was quite a lot. It was so overwhelming in a good way that I don't know, I'm.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's funny you mentioned the Coles because we were all staying in the same house, and I at some point somebody must have mentioned that the Coles were staying there, but I had forgotten. And so that first night, I'm getting ready for bed. I'm in my pajamas in the kitchen, and in walk Lori and Corey Cole. I'm like, oh, hi, and then so that was just a cool moment. And but they especially, but a lot of the Sierra alum, but they especially seem very fan centric, and they are happy, above and beyond what I would expect of any of them, to just chat with fans and just be ordinary cool people, and by the end of the weekend it was sort of like, hey, sup Lori, how are you doing?
Yeah, it was kind of surreal. It really was.
Yeah, well, Matthew, we appreciate you coming on for this. I think we have one more special guest that we're going to clear a spot on the couch for, but thank you for supporting and helping the word out, and been nice to chat with you here.
All right, awesome. Thank you, guys. Yeah, and I hope that the numbers keep going up. So I'll see you.
Hope so. Hope we're here at 3 a.m. still watching the Bracker train keep rolling as,
Cool. All right, we'll see you later.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Let's get the next one in here. This is Paul. All right, Paul, you're on deck.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's bring in Paul.
There he is.
Hey, dude, good to see you guys. I was just watching you on YouTube. It's super weird to be, now I'm in the thing.
It's like you broke the fourth wall and went into the movie. So yeah, we're happy to have you here. Yeah, how you doing?
Very good, very good. Thanks for having me.
Like
of course.
Space Quest poster.
Thank you. Yeah, I got to get the Adventurous Shrine. I archived the discs with the cryoflux and got all the data, and then promptly glued them to my desk with photos and adventure-y stuff. It keeps me motivated.
Let's introduce you. This is Paul, maker of the Phantom Fellows adventure game, a modern one. Kind of, we're all following in the footsteps of the legends, right? But tell everybody a little bit about yourself, Paul, and then we can dive into some fan questions.
Very cool. Okay. Geez. Like how personal and far back to go. As a child, I no,
Hey, no, yeah.
I co-host the Classic Gamers Guild podcast, CGG podcast, which is an adventure game podcast, despite what it sounds like. So for anybody who doesn't know, you could check that out. My co-host Anna's in the chats down there. That's actually down there. That's my crotch in real life, but you know what I mean. In the YouTube down there, Anna's there. Sorry for making that weird.
No, isn't chat really the crotch of YouTube when you get right down to it? So it works.
Very played. Very well played. Yeah. You really, thank you. I set him up, you knocked him down. It's beautiful. So yeah, I'm obsessed with adventure games to the point where like 3.5 years ago, I was like, all right, I had like decompiled all the games I could in STI Companion and archived all the discs I could find on eBay. And I was like, I think it's just time to go ahead and make one at this point. So that's what I did. And my game, as Kate said, the Phantom Fellows, comes out September 27th, and it's yeah, it's very Sierra-y, right down to the user interface. And it's a comedy. It's about, what's the elevator pitch? I just learned that term, elevator pitch, this weekend, so I've been overusing it all week because it's a new thing, I know. But it's about two best friends who start a paranormal investigation business together because one of them's already dead. I
love that. I'm hooked. I'm not getting off this elevator.
Thank you. I forgot to breathe for the first entire minute I've been here, so I'm just like, wow, that's got to breathe between words. But anyway,
Hey.
yeah, these games shaped my life to the point where they took it over, and now it's a thing that I make. But back to the Sierra aspect of it, I do. I have a 9-year-old son who's fully indoctrinated into adventure games. He's been brainwashed since he was young, and we play them together all the time. Like every Christmas, we play one of the Space Quests together, and then a couple of times throughout the year, I'll just straight up kind of force him to spend time with your father, and we play a couple of Sierra adventure games together. To the point where today we were driving in the car, and he likes to do like little, I don't know, theoretical tier lists while we're driving. He's like, let's go through the worst deaths in video games, which already that's a Sierra indoctrinated kid right there to take that angle. And I was playing, I was pandering to my audience, to my 9-year-old, listing stuff that he would know. And then out of nowhere, he's like, I really like when you choke to death in Gold Rush. And I was like, wow, like just the proudest of all moments. Like not only did he remember, and for those who may not be aware, that's like the copyright death in the Sierra game Gold Rush, where if you didn't pass the copyright, they bring you to the thing in which hangs people, the noose, the thing the noose goes on, and you type in a word, which as a kid was great. It was like my first use of expletives and things like that. But anyway, it was just super cool that he knew that. I'm like, all right, good. We're doing good work over here.
You raised him well, clearly. I love that. I love this kid already. When you describe your game as Sierra, like I'm curious, like what exactly are you drawn from the classics that you're like, ooh, I'm gonna take this from here or that from there? What's in it? What's the Sierra DNA?
Right. Now, good question. I guess the Sierra DNA, there's visual aspects where it's quite chunky. It's like somewhere in between AGI and SCI 0. Actually, there's one really fun thing. If you go to the controls menu, there's a little kind of, not hidden, but not announced, a little switch that you can flick, and it's called Walk Like a Janitor. And that switches your walk cycle to Roger Wilco's. They always have that jolly little arms up, kind of walk thing going on. And so you can switch that on and walk like Roger. But to, as you put it eloquently, the DNA of Sierra in the game would be rewarding exploration, because I think that was my biggest thing with Sierra games growing up, was that it always felt like, oddly enough, it always felt like an open world, like this giant, massive world, whether it was like Lytton and Police Quest or the Galaxy and Space Quest. Like I always felt like I could just kind of go where I wanted to go, and every time you looked at something, there was some sort of unique response. Whether it was just like whether it was like a gut buster, like a laugh out loud thing, or just like a sharp nasal exhale, like nice. You were still rewarded for exploring, and that's really what I wanted for my game. And because it's a comedy, I decided to go with the full Sierra VGA interface, let's say, with the talk to, look at, and because I think with comedy, like I know nowadays it's more trendy to do like the simple 1 or 2 click interface thing. But I didn't want that, in part because of my love for Sierra, and in the other part was, I think with a comedy, it's like there's laughs to be had if you try to touch the person as the breather, as the alive guy, that one, and then there's laughs to be had if you try to touch the person as the ghost. So I really love interaction, and I want the players to know, like, whatever you do, whatever you click on, everything's a hotspot. So you're gonna get reacts from both characters. Really glad I wore the shirt today. And
There you go.
And so yeah, that's the spirit of Sierra in the game, is rewarding exploration and just hotspots everywhere.
That's so cool. And a little while ago, you said the thing I've been too scared to say in case it's not right, but I think it's absolutely true that they were kind of the first open world games. Obviously, we know now there are limits to the things you could do, but I think that's what appealed to me so much as a kid, having probably played, Mario and Contra and things like that. It's like, even if it was just the illusion that you could go anywhere and do anything, you could type in anything. I might not actually do anything, but that illusion of, wow, there's so many more layers to this than any other game I've played. I know it hooked me as a kid. So it's, yeah, I think that's part of the secret sauce. And I'm glad to hear that's a bit of the part of your game too.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate the validation back, because it does feel almost like a bold or brave statement to dare claim, something that came on 3 floppy disk felt like an open world. But I mean, specifically maybe with Lytton, like, it's just the way you could get in your car kind of whenever you wanted and stop at any of the stores that you wanted, whether you went to the cafe or to the courthouse. Like, you had that agency to do that. And I guess that does remind me of one other thing in the Phantom Fellows game that Sierra, like, that I was trying to capture that feeling was, like, as the game progresses, I did it in, like, day by day, like Gabriel Knight. So glad I'm talking to you guys. It's so much easier to be like, it's like Gabriel Knight. So it goes day by day. And then once you get to the 3rd day on through the rest of the week, you can start going back to previous locations. And the basic sole purpose of that, initially at least, was just so you could feel like I'm in a town and I can go to the places that I just went to and see those people again. And it kind of does 2 things. One, like, I promise there's always going to be new reactions. So, like, at minimal, if you go back to, a location from a few days ago, you'll at least get, a little bit of a laugh, a new interaction, a good to see you again, like an acknowledgement that the week is passing. Or that's kind of my source for alternate solutions. So in other words, like, you never have to leave where you're at to solve the puzzle. But if you saw something like around town earlier that might help you, you could just go get it and use it. And yeah, so anyway, that's again more just that Sierra spirit of, like, the ability to locally globetrot.
Love it. So I've been sitting on a stream for 3 hours. I'm gonna get up for 1 second and let you guys talk dev to each other for a bit, but I will be right back.
Awesome.
I'm just going back to everybody else. Like, the backer train is astounding. We have 71 people that have consecutively been obtaining this train for, I don't know how long, probably a couple hours maybe. And 4 minutes left until it finishes, unless somebody does something else. But it's been amazing. 357. I want to look at the real numbers because the YouTube is 30 seconds late. No, it's still 357,690.
Man.
Wow, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
So much. This documentary is going to be everything and more. Like, just so everybody knows, and I'm going to say this on record, my goal for the documentary is to make it so good and so intrinsic to, like, cultural phenomenon of, like, not just American history, because that's where we are and that's where Sierra was, but, like, gamer history is so big and so important that I want the Library of Congress to induct it into its collection.
Wow.
And they only induct, like, a bunch of boring stuff, so I want to give them something really cool. That's my goal. Of course, now, like, my throat goes dry. Hold on.
No, well, it makes me think, because you mentioned, like, American history, and then I'm thinking back to what you guys were talking about with One Short Eye a little bit, as far as, like, the in the crevices, in the corners or shadows of Sierra stuff, like, and it had me thinking as I was watching along, like, what would I want to see? And I would definitely like to formally, maybe even cordially, not sure really what the difference is. I think cordially you need to be wearing a suit, but it doesn't matter. I would like to see more on Gold Rush, because I heard the development of that was pretty wild, to the point where the McNeil brothers were I think sleeping in like a van in the parking lot to get it done, sort of dev story. So that would be cool. That I'm always shoving Gold Rush down everyone's throat because I love that game, and it's one of the more I guess underrated ones. Probably. Would you agree to that?
I think it's probably not underrated, but lesser known. Like I
There you
think
go.
it's probably like Freddy Farkas. Those who have played it,
Hmm.
all of them just love it. You know, it's got Al Lowe's like sense of humor, but it's in a Wild West setting, very strange, but like very fun and
Yeah.
pharmacist in this. But I do think Gold Rush is one of those not undiscovered gems, but just like lesser known ones. But people that have played it, I do think they just hit a home run like with that like so many of the other games. Let me check the real-time stats here. We got 60 real-time seconds according to my clock, 57, 56. Anyway, we're gonna keep talking after the clock goes.
You're right. It's almost hard to focus. So it's less than a minute unless somebody else donates. Hint, hint, to keep the train going.
Yeah, basically any new pledges can extend it, and I believe that people that like adjust a pledge or add an add-on, I think that adds it, but I'm not 100%. But now is the time we're gonna start to let's see. So we got Joshua Cleveland coming back in. We're gonna do like a celebration thing. The only problem here that we may have on this thing is that Will set up the frame for the YouTubers with 4 channels, and I can't boot.
Oh, right.
Off. So let me see if I can boot Will off. Let me see, because Josh is in the waiting room. I'm gonna just remove Will, taking an example.
guess it's over.
There's a guy named Jeff Morris that won like a Colossal Cave key that Anna was giving out in the chat of the YouTube, but he doesn't know how to reach her.
He can email me, Paul at thefandomfellows.com, or he can add us at Phantom Fellows.
I'll just do the email.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
All right, jump on for one more quick one here.
We're back. Sorry about that last little moment, but we have a fifth guest. Will, do you want to introduce your daughter?
This is Frankie. She's just beat King's Quest 7 for the first time, and we had a blast playing that together. She just wanted to come on and wish everybody congratulations and say a quick hello, and then I have to put her down to bed so you guys can keep the stream going for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I think, yeah, we should all wrap it up here. But just to say to everyone hanging out in the chat, everyone who backed the campaign, thank you, thank you, thank you. We won't let you down. And now the fun part begins, the extra fun part, because we get to go make the thing. And we're excited to tell you all about next steps in the very near future. So thank you very much.
Super excited. Thank you so much for the support, everybody.
Thank you very much. This is like a literal dream come true for me, and I hope we can make it as amazing for all of you as that we hope we can. So, and thanks for all the guests coming on today. It was really great.
Absolutely. All right. Good night, everybody. Take care.
Cheers. Good night.
No.
Bye.
Keep talking. No.